Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. But more importantly, blue morning to you all. I do hope everybody is doing well. Today, we have a few important topics to talk about. First, we will try to find out whether Chelsea needs forwards or if the club needs wingers. Also, we'll talk about the possibility of Ousmane Dembele coming to Chelsea Football Club. Then we will talk to ask the question whether the club is truly looking at Bissouma, who we all know is a fine player. So with that, I say sit back and relax, and let's get into the show. And I hope it will be a brilliant show as usual. Yes, people, welcome back to the Blue Morning Show. Again, I hope everybody is doing well. Today, we have quite a few, again, I'm going to repeat myself, we have quite a few topics to talk about. We will try to answer the question whether Chelsea Football Club needs wingers or whether the club needs forwards. We'll also look at the possibility of Ousmane Dembele coming to Chelsea Football Club. Then we will talk about Bissouma, who is, we all know, is a brilliant player. So we'll talk about why the club is really is looking at him, or whether the club is really looking at him, and why the club should go for him. So with that, I do ask you to please sit back, relax, and again, let's get into the show. And I hope it will be a brilliant show today. As usual, I'm going to start by going through the chat to acknowledge people in the chat and also see if they have any question or if they have any relevant input that I can read. And if any, that would be excellent. If not, I can go solo. And believe me, it will still be a brilliant show as usual. So I'm going to start from the very top. And also, the usual suspect is the first here. And the first input there, of course, 1 second, please. My screen is lagging a bit. Is from True Blue. He says Chelsea's wave comes from wingbacks. Tuchel already stated after the Watford game, he isn't changing the system. He spoke about Chilwell and James and his number twos. No point in buying wingers. We need defenders. Again, in this argument, I think you made a good point in the sense that we should prioritize our spending, but I think if in fact the club completes its transfer business in time in terms of fixing the issues that we have in the defensive areas, I think the club will still sign some players for the midfield section and also the attacking area, in which could be wingers or attackers, or a winger alone or attackers. It depends on what happens, because again, we've established that some players, even if the club wants to keep them, may want to leave. Here we have IBV, as we says, we need wingers, a defense and a striker partner. It's that simple. Again, it's an argument that also one could look at and see reasons why it should be like that. You keep repeating yourself, we do not play wingers. I think there's a chance we start playing them next season. Tuchel saying he's not going to change the system. We know he can be very stubborn, but I don't think he'd be, set himself up to fail, in the sense that he's not going to be able to change up the system when he plays against teams, when he gets a chance to play against teams that will be very, very, strong and capable of stifling our style of play when we play three out of the back system. So I still do think there's a chance he changes things up. IB, as he says, we need depth. Depth. It cost us our forms and challenge of the top two. We ended up playing players and positions to fill a depleted team. Again, that's the truth. We need depth, even if we don't sign wingers or forwards or whatever system he decides he will be deploying come next season. We still do need depth. We need competition. We don't need backups. We need to sign starters in all positions. Again, this is something I've repeated on this show a million times, the importance of going for starters and not what we, the Chelsea fans, call backups, which in that case, when the starter gets injured, we start struggling. So again, that makes sense. I need a depth, man. It killed us. So we need to invest in defense, midfield, and a strike partner or another striker. I understand that Broya will come back. Fair enough, but will that suffice? I think Broya will suffice. His loan deal was in the Premier League, and he did quite well. He held his own, scored quite some goals, and also did well in terms of pressing and also involving in the play. So Broya will make a good addition to the team. He'll learn from Lukaku, learn from all the senior players in the team. May well be starting games. It depends on who does better. Again, Darwin Nunes and Nkunku, again, that's another argument we'll deal with here. Hopefully we have some people join me on the panel. If not, I will go solo. It's been a long time. Chelsea hasn't won the English League. Our fans miss that. Yeah, we do miss that. It's been like 5 years now. And during that period, Manchester City has been the dominant team in the league, except for when Liverpool won it. And Liverpool on occasions has come close to winning it. Okay, that was I think, was it on the Antonio Conte? But Manchester City has dominated the Premier League ever since. Well, it is not Pulisic, Timo Hakim's season. It's been a long time since he's been in Chelsea playing like that. Just borrow it. Again, there are factors we must consider. If we have to prioritize what the club needs, then first we start by looking at it. The defensive area, we need to do something as quickly as possible, which means because we're losing about 5 players there. We're losing Andreas Christensen, Antonio Rudiger, what's his name? Marcus Alonso, and also there's a chance we'll lose Cesar Spilicueta. Okay, 4 of them. Let me just say 4. If I missed any of them, you let me know. So again, that will be the club's priority, Thomas Tuchel's priority, to sign players to replace those that are leaving before they look elsewhere. Because if they try to focus on all the departments at the same time, there's a chance they will miss out even in signing defenders that they are supposed to bring in to fill in the spaces left by those that are leaving. So again, you must remember that we've not been able to sign players because we can only talk with players. We can only talk to players, talk to clubs, but we're not allowed to put pen to paper in another sense to finalize the contracts and sign it and then bring in and say, okay, this player would join us during the summer transfer window. So that in its own, it's a serious setback. And I know you must have heard Thomas Tuchel complain about it. And I think he's saying the truth. And here we have, okay, this is just me telling people. And yes, please, right now we have about 18 likes and we have 42 people watching. I think we can do better than that. If you haven't, please do take a second to like the video to help us reach more people. And the truth is, the more people we reach, the more likes we get, the more the YouTube algorithm will be triggered, and the more people we can reach, and the more the show will be fun. From now on, okay, I'm not going to read that. Liam says, good morning, blue morning to you, Liam. Liam, start saying blue morning, everyone. I hope you are having a great morning. I hope you're having a great morning too. And nice to always see you here. You're always one of the first to arrive at the show. Again, it's Friday. Good vibes this morning. Yes, good vibes indeed. Hi, guys. Good morning. Good morning to you, Collins. How have you been? It's been a while. You missed yesterday's show, but it's okay. And again, who's here? Mohammed Alpha Jallo says, I don't know if that means hi. I think it means I am Joe from Ghana. Keep the good work on. Know your heart is blue. Yes, thank you very much, Collins and Bob. My heart is blue, and I know your heart is blue too. And everyone else in the chat, I do believe our hearts are all blue. And nice to see you here, and thank you for that. delicious comment there. Please, the Nkunku deal, how is it going? We will talk about it. There's no news whether we're talking with his camp or talking with the club already. All we know is that we've heard, these are all speculations, that the club is looking at him. So there's no, we only know we're talking with, that the club have been talking with Juice Conde's camp, and he's already agreed terms with us. So what we need is to finalize stuff with Sevilla, and then he puts pen to paper, and then he will be a Chelsea player in the summer. And another rumor is the fact that we heard speculations, if you prefer, that Chelsea also, we have an agreement in place with Perisic, which will be a good addition to the club because he can also play in the left midfield position, not just as a winger. Again, but that's right the way. There you go again. We have 3 wingers. We don't use wingers. Again, big up Kuchila, big up to the chat. I want to see us buy Dembele and Nkunku. There's a chance that may well happen. And deals CFC, nice to see you again. Dembele and Nkunku are good for us. We'll see what happens. Again, we need inverted wingers who can come inside to similar to Mane, Salah, as the width is created by the wing backs. Again, that's a good way to put it. And again, you could just get wingers and then instruct them to invert. They don't necessarily have to be defined as such before. Coachella Brighton have told us a price for Cucurella. Can you please let me know? I haven't even checked that. Realistically, the inverted wingers need to be creative and be good at dribbling. So Dembele lifts the bill. Dembele fits the bill. Otherwise, and he plays with both fit. That's again, that makes him exceptional. Actually, he's a fine player. There are areas where I'm concerned, not really about what that is his. Not really. How do I phrase it again? His ball playing capabilities. I have concerns over, whether the club will decide to go with him, given issues he's had in the past. But I think he will be a more mature person right now, and probably must have learned from his mistakes. And I do believe in second chances. And also, the club can also deal with the PR stuff, although that might not be enough from stopping the media and all the rival fans coming at us as a racist club and on and on. But to me, that's nonsense. I think we can. Go beyond that. Luke Modway says, I'm surprised we're not also interested in Tielemans. He has 1 year left on his current deal, so I can see someone getting him for 25. The most important question you'd ask, will he fit the way we play? I honestly do not think so. And I think in that area, I think we're really packed there until someone leaves before we decide to go to someone else to fortify that area. We can use Timo Werner for Nkunku if probably we really need him to fill up our attacking area. I think that would be an option because at Leipzig, Timo Werner was firing in all cylinders. So they may well ask for him plus cash or just an exchange. That's very possible. Good morning to you, Declan. I've sent you the link in case if you have time, you can join the panel. So now I think I'm just going to come to the panel until I see something that I have to address here. Again, it says, hit and subscribe to the channel. I will pay for you. Yes, Nick says that it is free to like the video. So if anybody asks you and to subscribe, if anybody asks you to, pay, tell them Nick Blue has already paid for you, or Declad, or True Blue, and all those guys are good people in the chat. Again, yes, I'm going to come back to you guys in a bit. Just let me catch up with something here. All right, and if you're in the chart, let me know if you haven't said that before. Let me know whether you think the club needs forwards or whether we need wingers. And you've seen Tree Blue explain why he thinks we don't need wingers, that we need, I think he said we don't need wingers, and that's how he said it, but you will find that in the comments right there. And again, we'll start. The next thing we'll talk about here is what the reason I believe the club will not look at, the reason I believe the club will not look at But the reason I believe Ousmane Dembele will most likely come to Chelsea Football Club and not to any other club. Again, I'm going to add Nick to the I'm going to add Nick to the stream, and I'm trying to share the link with other people who'd like to join us here. But again, I'm struggling with my screen; it's frozen. Nick, welcome to the panel. How are you doing?
Yeah, fine, coach. Waiting for the announcement. Should be today. Could be any time today. Should be anyway. That's what we heard.
Yeah, I think I hope it happens soon because that would settle
It will. It will
a
happen
whole
today.
lot of nerves. Again, so that's by the way, Nick. Let's start with let me say let's start with asking you, given from what you've seen last season and the areas you say in the attacking area, what happened? And again, do you think we need forwards or do you think we need wingers?
Yeah, the problem is, I think we need both really. If Ziyech goes, if Werner and Ziyech are rumored to go, we have to replace Ziyech. We need another winger. We haven't got enough. And if what I heard today in the Evening Standard, we're very interested in Lewandowski. Is Tuchel really looking at him, and he's also looking at what's his name Encanto
Nkunku.
Nkunku, yeah. He fancies him, and there's the other player he fancies also. There's quite a few actually on his radar. Bowley said he will get the players Tuchel wants, but 7-8 players. Could be 3-4 new players.
Okay.
But the defense is the priority, but they are looking at forwards as well. They want to get, I think they were Ziyech those get some money from them. And make the belly for Tuchel's one of the favorites.
Okay, Nick. Here's what we'll do. Nick. I think we can actually barely hear you. I think you may need to go out and come back. I'm not sure why that's happening. Yeah.
That's right. You can put your mic on my.
I don't think it is. I muted his mic. I just unmuted his mic right now. You try talking, you see it's not his mic.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you. Go ahead. Go ahead again.
He muted his mic. He does that all the time. I keep telling you. You don't believe me, do you?
No, it's not because I've done an experiment that showed me that isn't the case. Well, that's not why we're here. Nick, go ahead, say what you're saying.
I know when he's not muted because I can hear it's in my background. It's a funny noise. When he's muted, it's clear for me.
Okay, go ahead, Nick.
Yes, I was saying that's what he's looking at. Quite a few players, and let's see. Yes, he doesn't mention Koulibaly yet or anyone like that. But the marquee signings could be one of them. Could be Lewandowski. It depends what's going to happen with Tuchel, Lukaku's agent. He's going to meet today with Tuchel. Lukaku's agent he wants to talk with Tuchel to see where Lukaku stands probably. Okay. And if he goes, we can see Lewandowski coming in.
Okay. Well, you never say never. There's a chance that happens so that Nick will take a break from saying sign Lewandowski. I was going to ask you your ID if you don't say anything about him, but I get your point. If we can get him, I think there's a chance he does well at Chelsea, but there's no guarantee. Declan, welcome to the panel, brother. How are you doing?
Doing great. How's everyone doing?
I'm doing well, brilliant. Nice to have you back on the panel. So the question, I know you already heard the question. So before we move ahead, start talking about the players. Do you think we need forwards, or do you think we need wingers, or both? And whatever your choice is, why do you think so?
Well, I've been echoing for a long time that we don't play with wingers. Our wing backs are our whiffs. We need killers up front. If you want wingers that can actually score, that are going to play in the in the half spaces in the channels before, which are called inside forwards. That then you can get those wingers that can score if they're going to play more in. But the wingers the traditional wingers that that are going to beat their man wide, play near the line. We don't need that winger. So
why do you say we don't need traditional wingers?
Because in this system, the reason you have wingers, right? One of the biggest reasons is width, right? So the more players stretched out, the more the players in the middle stretched out. If you don't have players on the outside, well then the other team can defend narrow and make it really hard for you. So that's the reason for wingers, right? Then if you have really good dribbling wingers, then the team system is made there to try get that winger in a one-on-one situation, and if he can take his man, then he's in the box, or he's in a crossing, or he's in a very good situation to cut back and whatnot, right? And that's how the 4-3-3, the famous 4-3 used to work, and that's how all these wingers from the past that used to take on players, and this is what you used to see. Now it's changed a bit with some other systems, especially with the system we have. That person is now the wing back. And you might have saw maybe a better variation of a winger doing that role in Victor Moses. Moses was a winger, right? He has decent skill to take on his play in some cases, right? And he actually had some defensive abilities to come back. That's how he had that spot under Conte, right? Did the winger job, can do a little bit of defensive work, but was mainly up all the time. And was caught in that situation. That's why you've seen Tuchel sometimes he'll put Ziyech. He's tried Ziyech, Pulisic as wing backs because wingers are more suited to that role because they are wingers. A wing back and a winger play along the line and they get in those situations, so they're probably more adaptable. So the funniest thing was that probably someone like Ziyech was probably can more adjust to the wing back than to the inside forward because he struggled in narrow, maybe, right? But that's why Tuchel tried him in those roles. So we need if there's a winger that's really good at scoring, then they can play in the half spaces, aka like you seen Salah and Mane and that, because they were wingers before. So we need if you got a goal scoring winger, yeah. So I'm not going to rule out all wingers because some wingers can play in a more narrow, in the half spaces, and they can score, so we need those as well. So you gotta understand the difference before.
Here's something else I want to ask you. You seem to sound like you're one of those, and at True Blue the same. And True Blue has a million times cited Thomas Tuchel's comments that he's not. He's saying Tuchel says he's not going to change the system. The question: you seem to be one of those that are thinking or believe that come next season we will predominantly be deploying a 3 at the back system.
Yeah, because he's playing a free in the back is known to be defensive, where Tuchel has been unique and it's worked. That's probably how we won the Champions League because teams struggled to counter it when they got onto it, and we haven't even seen it in its best. With the best players, so we haven't seen the best of this system. Like in a high possession, high press. So we're playing a unique system that could be something that teams might copy later on, right? Just like other systems have come in the past. So till Tuchel maybe gets it in full flow, right, and maybe variations of it, because it can start out in one way, and Tuchel can tweak it and it can adjust, and maybe this is how Tuchel wants to play because it's got his fundamentals in it. And so that's probably why he wants to keep going forward. And let's get some of the players and keep doing it. Unless, back in PSG, he played Marquinhos in the middle, and he dropped in, and to make he made in defensive phase, temporarily it was a back three at PSG, right? It was just Marquinhos moved from the defense to the midfield in the build-up play. It was almost like the Jorginho that a lot of the balls go through him, but he also was part of the defense as well. So even that is a variation of what Tuchel wanted to do. So Tuchel might want to keep the 3 in the back and whatnot, but maybe something might be a little different next season. Do you know what I mean? Remember, in this season, he tried a lot of stuff. Remember, he had the three in the middle when he played Jorginho, Kante, and Kova. That didn't quite work. I think it worked against Tottenham. Didn't work against Man City. And so I think Tuchel played around a lot this season with it as well. And he changed more than ever. So maybe he's learnt a lot. And going into the season, there's probably something with some new players, something that he probably wants to do. But I still think the system is going to be very similar.
I think it depends on how many players were able to buy this window. I think that will be the deciding factor on whether he sticks predominantly to playing three centre backs. Again, it's something I've always referenced before. It's how he played at PSG. He's known to switch up the formation depending on the opposition and even during games. So I think maybe it will not necessarily be predominantly a three-at-the-back system. I think he'll switch it up because that's a chance.
Coach, what if... Sorry to cut you off.
Go ahead, no problem. Look, if I'm talking, you can always cut in if you have a point you want to make.
Yeah, because you brought it up, PSG. What if Koundé was that missing piece that he wanted from last season, right? That to play
what
that
system?
that
what
Marquinhos.
System in particular are you talking about?
So what Marquinhos did was not have three in the back, but to have an extra midfielder instead of the extra centre back. That was the difference, right? To kind of what we're doing, right, with the wing backs and stuff. But Marquinhos dropped in the back, made a back three, right, in times of need. In PSG's just defensive phase, but then he was in the midfield and also distributed. Now Koundé has great ball skills for a defender. Yeah. Right. You're correct. And he's been and it's been said that he can almost like he's like almost a midfielder. So what if Tuchel wanted to do something similar from last season, because we might have been in for Koundé the whole season and then it just didn't happen, right? Maybe he was a priority. And what if we wanted him to play that type of role, so we can take one centre back away, put Koundé in, who it looks like a back three, but it's also in some phases he's the midfielder, he's in the midfield, and then in the defensive phase he's in the defense, so it looks like a back three. So he's doing a role in both, and maybe Tuchel sees that as key. And we just didn't get him last season, so he couldn't do it. So there you go. That if that happens this season, then it changes it up. It'll look like a back three, but it might not with Koundé in the middle.
He has actually done that on occasions here. I think he's experimented with that, what you just explained with Ruben Loftus-Cheek, where he deploys him on the right-hand side. You think he's on the right wing-back position, but it's actually hybrid. He joins the midfield 90% of the time, but that's why I get your point. Yeah. And Liam says here, if Tite sticks to three at the back, we don't need wingers. That's the truth, but I don't think he will stick to three at the back. I think he will mix it up come next season because he has the chance now to sign players to help him, execute his preferred approach. As True Blue keeps saying, so I guess if we buy them, it might show a change of thinking. Yep, that's the truth. That's why I say it's important we talk about this. I know True Blue has repeated 10 million times how Thomas Tuchel have come out openly and say he's not going to change that system. You have to contact Coachella via Twitter. Yep, you have to do that. That's the correct way now, because we're not trying to risk anything. Again, I'm going to repeat myself. The reason is because some content creators have been sabotaged and it took them a while to get back their channel. So we want to know when something happens, we know where it's coming from. And that's why I'm not even advocating if you get the link, don't share it with anybody else. Blue morning, everyone. Blue morning to you, Akira. I appreciate seeing you here. Morning all. Morning to you too, Len. Nice to see you again. Thank you, True Blue. Okay, yep. If possible, Tuchel make Cucurella this summer because Chelsea have a very broad month. Yeah, again, I get your point there. Morning again. Let me see. A true Chelsea fan from Kenya. Fine, congrats, bro. How are you? Analyzing how you are analyzing sports. Congrats to you too for being part of the process. I appreciate seeing you here. See, True Blue, I hear him saying it. That's why, like you, I don't see us buying wingers unless he was just saying that not to show He's saying, I think that may well be the case. That's Thomas Tuchel for you. He doesn't like opponent managers to be able to predict what he wants to do. I think that may well be the case. We got nobody the way this owner announcement is going. I say, don't worry, I think we'll be all right. We're allowed to talk with players, but we can't just put pen to paper. The only issue, or what I'm concerned, or you should be concerned about, there's a chance we might not get our preferred choices, given that they'd be looking to talk with clubs that when they talk with them, everything will be done and no waste of time and all that. Here it says, morning to you in life, no limits. Nice to see you here. Sell Werner, Pulisic, Jorginho. Yeah, sell everybody. We may well sell the club too. Again, it sounds that simple, but it's not that easy. We need to sell Kepa or Barkley, Bakayoko, Jorginho, Lukaku, Ziyech, Pulisic, Batshuayi, Emerson, Kennedy, sell Tuchel too. It sounds that easy. This some window. Again, the reason I'm saying this, most of these guys are on a very high wage. So finding clubs, will be very difficult. And I think Drinkwater is already gone. He's already, written his farewell message. It's very touching. And he was truthful in it, very apologetic too. But that's, by the way, again, we're not going to sell all these players this window. It's not going to be that simple. If it's been that easy, if it was that easy, we would have sold quite a lot of them a long time ago. I think Tuchel has stressed that it's not about the structure, but the personnel within the structure, which means he will be going for personnel that will help him execute variations of formation, not just that one. So good input there. Again, Zanula, I don't know what that means. You let us know what it means. This is who I would sell. Sell Kepa, Jorginho. Again, I've read that before. Yeah, Sevilla, they use two center backs and have a midfield in between the midfield. Normally, it's a DM. So that may well be the reason why we are going for Kunde, because he can help us mix things up. Big up everyone, and big up to my brother from another mother, CFC Fahim. If you haven't, please take a second to go check out this channel. Great content. ITM says, hi guys, great channel. What's your take on Rafael Leon from Milan and most? I'll highlight that and we'll talk about it later. Here we have Sevilla, they use two center backs. Yep, we talked about that. I think I'm all caught up at this point. I'm going to go back to the panel. Andrew, welcome back to the show. How are you doing today, brother?
I'm fine, pals. All good. It's nice. I'm going to take in the sun while I can in the UK.
Sorry for disturbing your meal.
No. I'm just going to hopefully take in some rays, hopefully before it starts raining in the UK again.
And it looks like your microphone is breaking up a bit.
Is it? Hello? Can you hear me?
Yeah. Some static sound or so.
Hello? How about now?
Still doing it.
Yeah, it's still doing it.
All right, I'm gonna come back.
All right, no problem. So I'm gonna come back to the panel, and first I'm gonna share this link here that Andrew shared with me. Then I'll get back to Nick. 1 second, Nick. Just give me a second. Let me open the window here. Yeah, he said it was Andrew that shared this tweet with me yesterday. Again, which the tweet reads, Ousmane Dembele will not join PSG this summer. Although you could argue there are conflicting reports about Ousmane Dembele's choice of club or where he's going or something like that. But it's looking like he's more likely to leave Barca than stay because I'm not sure Barca would be willing to give him what he's asking for. He says, Kimso, no, I don't think so. Kunde is going to force the move here while he's at London. I don't think they'd set him back. If they try that again, I think he'd probably run down his contract and leave on the free. Nick is gone too. So, Declan, it's just you and I at this point. So, Declan, did you see what I showed you on the screen?
About, Dembele not joining PSG.
Yeah, so which means he is most likely coming towards because he has a good relationship with Thomas Tuchel, and you could say he has his best form on the Thomas Tuchel, and we've been talking. The talks Chelsea had already spoken to his camp. So your thoughts? Do you think it's something that will happen?
I don't want it to happen, to be honest.
Your reasons. Tell us why you don't want it to happen.
So Dembele, for me, is a professional patient that got ruined by his career, got ruined by football, right? And what I mean in that, this guy
I get your point.
he has injuries
Hmm.
that we shouldn't go near. He gets hamstring injuries that take him out for months. He's only 24, and the amount of injuries he has, it's insane. When you're young, you recover quick, and he doesn't recover quick. He has more injuries than if someone was in their mid-30s, and they constantly reoccurring. If there's been some bad malpractice in Barcelona where they've rushed him all the time and haven't let him recover, well, regardless if it's Barca's fault or not, there's a lot of damage done there. And what you're getting, what's happening, like Dembele, great player when he plays, when he's fit. When he's not, he's on a massive wage, which I'm pretty sure if you get him, you have to match, right? I don't think he's going to take a massive pay cut. And especially if it comes to Chelsea, you'll be expecting something similar, or maybe if more, I don't know. And I heard he's on 200k.
So you think those factors will be a stumbling block?
Well, think about it, coach. La Liga is not even as physical as the EPL. It's not even as physical. The teams they play, you play in a Barcelona team, so there's is a very team that is not like it's not like a battling ground. It's a team that based on very high possession, very on the ball. They don't really get that down and dirty, if that makes sense. Like some other teams. Like if you compare it to Atletico, where you got to fight for everything, and you know what I mean. So he's playing in a team like that. Doesn't mean you're exempt from injuries, but it means you're not in you're not in harm's way all the time, right? And now he's going to come into EPL, where people are going to be rougher with you. And this guy's probably more prone. He's going to be more open to injuries, and he's going to be out for a long time. And he's going to be expensive. He won't solve any issue or any of our issues if he's spending majority of the season in the medical bay. And we saw a glimpse of that with Pulisic. When Pulisic was fit, he was doing really well at a time, especially after that post-COVID. Then he was out. He was out all the time. Did his hammy in the FA finals, which was one of the biggest things. So, for me, it's a very expensive risk. It's a very bad one. It's a bad gamble. That's what it is. The upside isn't massive. There's a lot to lose. There's a lot of consequences.
Yeah. Here's the thing. When Andrew sent me the link, I looked at it, and he and I, we both agreed. Then he's more likely coming to Chelsea Football Club. Here's the thing. He is a fine player, and he's a winger, one of the best at that. Yes, he's injury prone, but the truth is he's good. And he uses both feet quite comfortably. But like we've argued on this show before, and I did a video on it, he comes with quite a lot of baggage. You could argue, well, he's outgrown the disciplinary issues that he's had in the past because we haven't heard that much of that. Then you talk about the racism role, which you could argue some of our sponsors could have issues with that. But that Bobby presented a very, very solid argument on how the club can deal with that. I'm all for second chances because nobody is perfect. If he comes, like Bobby suggested, donate some money to some charity organizations in the country where that incident took place, that may well solve it for the country. But he comes to Chelsea, joins us, and Chelsea, as DJ Saab did put it when he was on the panel here, we're still paying for racial issues we had in the past. We had decades ago. And so, we may well be able to use a PR strategy, to sweep that under the rug. But in England here, I think the media will make a meal out of it because, again, it will get worse. Why? Because when the club talked about going for, what's his name, Antoine Griezmann, Chelsea fans were, whoa, he's racist. Don't go for him. Don't go for him. Now, nobody's talking about that right now. It is, to me, first of all, it isn't fair to Antoine Griezmann, because if anybody was racist, then it is Ousmane Dembele. He was the guy that did all the talking. All Griezmann did was just laugh. Declan, your thoughts on that before we move on?
Yeah, I remember that too, and it was, and I got to admit, I was torn because Griezmann would be the perfect player in our front three. Griezmann's characteristics of his player would have been perfect of what we need, and that's why I was keen on Griezmann. But everyone was bringing up the racist issue as well, and I agreed with that too. Yeah, and that means you have to put Dembele in the same boat. I mean, Griezmann
you
covered a lot
have
of
to.
stuff.
If anybody was racist, he's the chief racist in that video, because Griezmann didn't say anything.
Yeah, and from my understanding, I thought Dembele was in the same boat at that time. So I don't know how. Maybe people have forgotten. Maybe it's just time. But you know the British media will bring it up a lot more than what La Liga do.
Yep.
And as soon as something and same things what I said, if the Ricketts were in, even though the Ricketts would have done all the stuff, give money to so and so communities and did all the PR. Anytime something would have happened, even with the fans or whatever, they would have straight away brought up racist issues of the past, and they would have brought up Dembele's past as well. And so so it just becomes a massive PR or media.
Nightmare. Yeah. So again, I agree with you. I think we may well be able, to settle things in the country where that incident happened, but back in England, it will tarnish our image. And again, it begs the question: Chelsea is one of the best clubs in terms of fighting discriminations of all sorts. Anti-Semitism, racism, and all those gender discrimination. And all of a sudden this happens. I think that will put some measure of dent on the club's stance on those issues. Because yesterday we just won stuff as one of the most what was the award again? If you're in the chat, remind me of the award that Chelsea just won, which makes the club stand out. And Kante won the player aspect of the whole thing. So I don't think it makes sense. And again, let's look at it also from this aspect. If we're talking about the possibility of Tuchel not wanting to switch up the formation, and we're serious about bringing in Dembele, what does that tell you, Declan?
Can you hear me? Sorry, I missed the question.
Yeah, I can hear you. No problem. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think my internet played up. What did you say? I missed the last 3 seconds.
We've argued before the show started. We talked about whether we need wingers or whether we need forwards.
Okay, yeah.
So if really the club, if Chelsea are looking at Ousmane Dembele, what does that tell you? It tells you, Thomas Tuchel, what he said in the public isn't what he's planning. He's planning something else in private, because Dembele is a winger.
No, Dembele is one of those wingers that can play in the half spaces and has very good dribbling skills, and maybe the conversion is decent. Like he does get goals, but not like as some of the others. But he's someone that can definitely be an attacking threat. Look, if Dembele didn't have such an injury record, right? I'd say he'd be a great candidate for one of the attacking players, because he's worked with Tuchel as well, and he has such a he's such a talented player, and being only 24, still relatively young too, right? Still not even hit his peak, but he comes with such a bad injury record, and that he'll be an expensive risk for me. If you get this guy and he's out all the time, then what's the point? And especially and at a time where everything's crucial, right? So every signing we have to do, we have to be pretty certain, and they have to kind of work out, or else it could kind of fall apart. Like you said, we've got to bring defenders, right? We've got to make and the biggest money thrown at the players means there's limited amount for the next player. So if we have to get 5 players, and you've thrown one of the biggest wages on Dembele, and it didn't work out, well, that probably prevented you from getting some of the other players, and then we our attack is probably the same and whatnot. So it just goes to show you what the risk you're taking on someone with so big wages.
Yeah, again, it's a complicated situation if you ask me, and it doesn't. It just that begs the question whether Tuchel meant what he said in public. Apparently, he doesn't. It just again, and it sounds like Chelsea are serious about Ousmane Dembele, and I think, like I said, I believe in second chances. The other issues, I think that's for the club to deal with. If anybody asks me, I'd ask them, if you haven't seen before you throw the first stone or you raise your hand. I think it's just that because the kid was caught in the act on it, and in a video, most of us have actually done the worst. Fairboy, welcome to the panel. I'm going to quickly, catch up with the chat, and I'll come back to you in a bit so that you'll be all caught up with us, so you're not behind. Pastor Daniel Anton, nice to see you again. It's been quite a while. He says, for me, Darwin Nunes is the best striker in the world, but Chelsea are normally not fast enough. Liverpool does a better business. We'll talk about that in a bit. I'll highlight that. Kunde Koulibaly, Moss, again, he says, we then need to get wing fullbacks. You say wing fullbacks, okay, to compete with James and Chilwell, and that's the right way to phrase it. We don't say backups here. Backup is the wrong language, and that's why we suffered this past season, because we had James, we had Chilwell, but we had both had no strong competitors. So when they got injured, we went. That is, we suffered quite a lot. Sign them up says. And again, Mbappe is not an interesting project anyway. Again, that's another topic. Let me see if there's anything. It's coming for free. It's coming for free. Ousmane Dembele, not to CFC. Again, there's a chance it is us from what we're seeing, since it's not going to PSG. Apparently, we're the only ones, and he still has a good relationship with Thomas Tuchel, who's on occasion said how much he likes him as a player. And I want to say something quickly about his medical record. There's a chance the case might have been how Barcelona handled him, because at Dortmund, he didn't get that injured that many times, did he?
No.
To be honest, I'm not sure, but maybe he didn't. I actually haven't looked at that record at Dortmund, and he was only there for 2 seasons, yeah?
I'm not sure how long he stayed, but he didn't stay long.
I think there are definitely injuries, because I remember a long list that included Dortmund, but it was nothing close to the injuries he had at Barcelona, and how many days he missed.
Yeah, again, for Barcelona, it's gotten worse. You could argue it is because of their medical team. I think I'm not sure I think it was Nichel that discussed that with me. I think they have a horrible medical team there. I'm not sure, but I think maybe our medical team may be able to do a way better job than they've done there, and keep him fit. And for a while now, he's been playing and he hasn't gotten injured. So, but we see what happens. Let's say I agree. Over the last 2 seasons, we've lost a lot of players due to hamstring problems, and bring in another player who could be out for a long period of time. Again, that's all people are concerned, not even other issues we talked about. Again, let me see if there's anything to address here. Parkman says Hazard was fine for years at Chelsea, but as soon as he went into Madrid, he started getting issues. It is the Barcelona physio who are the problem, not Dembele. That may well be the case. Again, let me see if there's anything else to address here. If not, I'll move ahead, because no studio engineer yet. It is still just me alone. Please pay attention. We cannot conclude deals until all money is paid and the new license issued. So please do learn that. We cannot complete deals. So right now, I don't think we have any right to blame the club or the scouts or Marina or anybody, because we're restricted. There are restrictions to what we can do due to the restrictions placed on on the club, so we must pay attention. Kunde's, we're lucky that he wants to come to us, and we've already agreed terms with him, but we cannot put pen to paper. It's that simple. I see this morning there's a queue of clubs looking to get Levi Colwill, including Arsenal and Leicester, that shows the huge potential he has. I don't think Chelsea are going to let him go like that. Please, any update on Bissouma? We'll talk about that. We haven't gotten to that. We'll talk about whether he fits into a system and how good of a player he is. Again, to every other person, if I don't read your comment, sorry, apologies. I'm only human here, and it's just me. Wake me up tomorrow, coach. Okay, all right. See you tomorrow, Nick. I hope everything is fine. Says Fahim, Deals and Liam, can you mod any? Yeah, exactly. Please. Thank you very much for reminding them that True Blue. Big up, coach, and Declan. Big up to you too, Matt. Yeah, in a bit I'll try and send it to you. Says I just read Absolute Trust on Twitter. Kunde could be completed in the coming days. I don't know how reliable it is. There's no possibility of completing anything until a new license is issued and the sale process is completed, just as True Blue said there in the chat. Again, so let me come back to the panel. Fairboy, welcome to the stream. How are you doing, brother?
Yeah, I'm doing good. How are you too, Coachella?
I can't complain. Again, nice to see you. I'll start by asking you so that we'll bring you up to par to where we are right now. Do you think we need a forwards, or do you think we need wingers?
We need wingers. We need forwards. We need both of them.
Can you tell us why?
Well, as we've been commenting about, our problem has been creativity and scoring goals. You understand? I think majority of our problem is scoring goals, because creativity, at least we do create a bit, but we still need fresh, personnel when it comes to our creative department. But for goal scoring, of course, we need wingers, and not just any wingers. We need goal scoring wingers. I don't know if we commented on Nkunku already. We've commented on Nkunku already.
No, we haven't. Go ahead, make your point.
Okay. So it's important that if Chelsea is going to at least compete with the best teams in the land, which perhaps next season it might not be possible, we will need goal scoring wingers as well, because we cannot let the center forward alone be scoring goals. What Man City showed us last season tells us that if you want to score lots of goals, if you want to win the title, then you need your other forwards to support your center forwards. And Man City did not use center forwards last season for the majority of their campaign last season. So we should understand that if we want to compete with the best, then it means that the other forwards should be scoring goals for us. So I agree that we need fresh forwards who can come and bring a different dynamics to our game. And for that, I agree with that opinion.
Okay, how about the argument that we don't need a wingers, because Thomas Tuchel has openly stated that he's not going to change up the system. Do you believe that, or do you think he's just, like Liam says in the chat, that he's just not willing to show his hands or his plans for next season?
Yes,
because really, if we play three at the back, if we predominantly, or 90% of the time, if we're going to be playing three at the back system, then why do we need wingers?
We still need wingers, and those who play as our inside forwards. Some of them are wingers, right? Mm-hmm. The problem is that with the sort of formation we are playing, right, we need wingers who could also support the center forward in scoring goals. Mm-hmm. So indeed, we need wingers, right? They need to be skillful enough, yes, but they also need to be productive. They need to produce a lot more output. So we truly need wingers. And the wingers that we have in our club, as I'm saying, I've always said that our attack is not well balanced, because the wingers that we all have, they always want to have the ball to fit. No one wants to attack the space, attack the space. You understand? So that is why when it comes to the goal scoring metrics, we fall short. So indeed, we need wingers, but wingers who can score goals for us. That's what we need. If we don't have goal scoring wingers, there is no way we'll be able to compete in any way. So we truly need wingers, but goal scoring wingers. That's my opinion when it comes to our attack.
Okay, I agree with you. Again, here's why I agree with you. This to a certain measure is that we need wingers because that's a chance. Since the fact that we've been linked to Ousmane Dembele simply means Thomas Tuchel has plans to change it up. Although Declan Rice has explained he's capable of switching it up and playing even when we play 3 at the back. He can invert and again he can adapt. But I don't think Thomas Tuchel will stick to 3 at the back system throughout the season. I think he switched it up. Even might not play 3 at the back system as much as we did play this season. But I'll come back to Declan again. Let's see your thoughts.
I was going to ask you.
Okay, go ahead.
Did you ask me something I didn't even know? I was waiting.
No, I haven't. No, I said I was just telling him what you argued, that even if Dembele comes, even if we play for the back system, he'll still be fine.
Yeah. I was going to ask you.
But the back, so to speak. Yeah, go ahead.
Why do you believe? Why are you so adamant and you believe that Tuchel will change it?
Because he's known to do so. Even at PSG, he's played up to, I think, they say up to 4 or 5 formations. That's who he is. At Chelsea, I think you could argue the reason he's stuck with a 3 at the back system was just he doesn't trust the people, the personnel he has, within, available to him to be able to help him, execute his preferred way of playing the game. And that's why he played most of them out of position. Again, that's my argument. You think otherwise?
No, and we did change a lot of different formation system this season as well. And they were all makeshift for injuries as well. And he did play around with it a lot more this season. But is there fundamentals to the game that he's going to carry over? Something that there's a little bit of stuff that he's carried over since Mainz day and Dortmund and PSG. You think there's something that can't change? That you'll still see in the system regardless of what he does?
From what perspective, Declan?
So regardless of which system he changed to, those fundamentals will still be there, that are still there now.
The fundamentals, if you ask me, I'd say he likes to dominate games by keeping the ball. And the most goals scored for under Thomas Tuchel usually come from crosses, especially at Dortmund.
But not the type of crosses of more cutbacks, not the crosses where we need a point man. You need
not that type of crosses. Yeah. No, more cutbacks and also 80% of the time. Let me just be safe. Cutback crosses.
Yeah. So the fundamental from the crosses is basically that he likes, and something that Pep does too, to stretch the players as much as possible. To stretch the play, right? So the defense, if they want to try defend everyone, they're going to be too spread open, and that's where you get a lot of space. So those fundamentals will never change, right?
No.
So even if he plays 3 in the back, he's still going to play possession, with a lot of possession, and play with someone wide. Those wide players could be wingers, right? Or they could be wing backs. But you got to remember it's in the name. Wingers and wing backs are going to play near the line. So you can't say we need people to play near the line, because that's the problem. We got Ziyech that can do that, and as soon as we put him out of that position, he struggles. Pulisic is good at that too, right? Pulisic is great. You get him to play wide with a lot of space, and on a one-on-one situation, these players are good, right? Put Timo there, and he's not as good. So you can see the difference. So even when some people say we need creativity, I mean, a lot of people, when they say we need creativity, they're thinking about these great long balls, that are pinpoint passes and stuff like that. We don't even need that, because we don't even play like that. I mean, the system with high possession our creativity is coming from a number of players, not just that one pass. You know what I mean? It comes from the high possession and the moving the ball so quick. So I think people have got to rethink on how we play and the play we need. We don't need that one pass through ball from a distance, right? It can be it can be a short pass, but usually our chances, and we've actually had quite a few chances compared to other teams, will come from the team rather than just one player, right? But what we've lacked, because the chances even this season, if people think we lacked creativity, which we did a bit because we don't have the mids that create, we don't have the inside forwards that come back and make something. Mountain has been our most creative player with chances created, right? Big chances created, and he's not even that, he's not even on that great level to say he's like the most creative player in our team. He is the most, but in terms of the Premier League and stuff like that. So what we lacked in is people that can actually finish, and some players that can make something out of nothing. That is more important than having creative players. If you can give a player that can by himself, some of the great players that by himself can make half a space, and in that half a space can get a shot on goal, that's something out of nothing. Or if we play this high possession game and in moving the ball so much, we create a little space for someone, that's it. But we have done this, and on the end of it, no one wanted to shoot, and when they did, they didn't score. And that has been our biggest issue, and we have 6 attackers and haven't solved that problem. And people that want to say, it's too many people out, I don't want to go into next season. I'd rather have a lot of outs and slowly get it going again, even if we have another slow season, and then rather than go into the season again with this attackers and just miss out on a lot of trophies and a lot of good, miss out on winning games just because we couldn't convert. And I think that's our biggest problem.
Mm-hmm. Let me quickly catch up the chat, and I'll bring LSE in. LSE, sorry, be patient with me, brother. I'll come back to you. Rumor says there are rumors about our interest in Cucurella. That's the truth. Again, I will only believe when I see him holding a Chelsea shirt. They're talking about what Fahim said about Jules Koundé. Adama Traoré as a right wing back. I don't want. Again, that's my choice. I don't think he would do that. Kim, so you irritated me until the new government issues the new license. We cannot complete any deal. Please learn that. You have to be. That's why it just sounded as if we're slow. We're not. We have restrictions that are restricting us from signing players. What's going on, Sir Adam Morgan? Patricia, you will catch up with what we have here. Sorry, this comment here says Chelsea needs Bissouma for sure. Together with the Kante, we will be very solid. We'll talk about Bissouma in a bit. Is Diego Carlos transfer to Aston Villa going to sabotage Koundé's move? I don't think so. I think Koundé has made up his mind to come to Chelsea. If they try anything, he'll probably run down his contract and leave in the free. I'll go rogue. Now, I like it, Kachila asking why. Now, I like Kachila is asking why. Yep, you should ask why again. Ziyech scored 44 and 80 assists in 3.5 seasons at Ajax. If used correctly, he'd do that. But unfortunately, the manager isn't playing to his strength. We must be truthful about that. I think it's best to let him go, and I think he'd be looking to leave himself. Goal-scoring wingers, I believe, the pressure on forwards and wing-backs. Look at the likes of Willian, Pedro. Again, I think for Pedro, I think we let him go too early. Even William, but William wanted the whole world. We don't need Dembele, not the right fit for Chelsea. I was surprised the likes of Ross Barkley were not given the chance. Chelsea have played Real Madrid more than City did. We need a prolific striker. Again, that's another argument for another day. Sorry, Coachella, he played a 3 at PSG. The same 2DM when he changed it to a 4. It was mostly in cup games. Again, but at least he mixed it up mainly there. Maybe that's the same pattern we're seeing at Chelsea. So he might well not change if you're right. Again, I get your point. Liverpool could now beat us all. Yeah, we have a good team, but you can't argue. I don't know how else to phrase it. The lack of consistency is the issue. you could argue, okay, that it's always been the manager's fault because he doesn't play players in their preferred position all the time. Again, now coming back to the panel, LSE, your thoughts on I want you to tell me whether you think we need forwards or we need wingers or both.
Yeah, I will agree with some of the panel.
Sorry, we can
Actually,
barely hear you.
I will agree with some of the panel.
Mm-hmm.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Yeah, we actually do need both because they perform different roles. We need a clinical winger,
Mm-hmm.
that can see opportunities for a cross or a pass between defenders, and then we need a clinical forward that can find space between the defenders and score the goals, So, we understand that, because of our system, because wingers usually, play along the touch lines. Yeah, but I feel there is a way that they can be incorporated because when it comes to Thomas Tuchel, he doesn't really pay attention to the system because when you hear him talk about it, because he believes that during the game, just within the movement, just a shift of some centimeters or meters on the pitch, and then the team can transform into a different formation. So what is important is what he's doing, which is genge press or counter press. All right. So you need players that have the ability to recover the ball, all right, in the opposition's box, all right, not in the middle. You understand? The moment you lose the ball, you get that ball back, and try to do something with it. And sometimes you see him switch. You see either the wing back switch side, or the inside forward, because we saw it in one specific game, I can't remember now, that led to the goal. I think it was Ziyech that scored the goal when they switched. So I've seen him do the same thing when he was at Mainz with Sami Alagwe. I've seen him do the same thing at Dortmund as well. So I think he needs players that are quick and fast, in learning the system, and a no-nonsense player that is hungry. That's what we need, because if you look at our stats, you look at the shooting accuracy, you will see that there's a difference between last year and this year. Last year when we were still a bit clinical, we see what we're able to do with it, albeit in the cup competitions. All right. But this year, everything just fell flat. So we need, personnel that are clinical. It could be two. It could be two in that attack position this season. It could be one, but I'm not sure. Depends on who leaves. So instead of bringing in two forwards, why not bring in one winger and one forward? So I'm still in doubt of Callum's future at Chelsea. I don't think what happened this past seasons is going to be the same. He's going to be happy to be on the bench or play or not, the same cycle. So I'll be happy if he leaves. I know his agent don't want him to go on loan. I'll be happy for him to go on loan or outright sale, because let's not kid ourselves. This window, with the waiting stands, I believe that there are going to be some sacrificial lambs. There are going to be some players that will sacrifice, players that will love, that will want to see grow. I won't be surprised if Broya go, even Conor Gallagher, I won't be surprised if he goes. Same thing. I don't maybe Kowe, because of our desperation in the defense, maybe both of them can stay, because you have to think about it. How many players do we need to sell to raise the funds needed for this window? And if we have to wait to sell first before we do anything, it means Thomas Tuchel will not have the players for preseason.
Yeah. Matt, your thoughts on what LSE just said? Do you agree, or do you have anything to say to the original question?
Yeah, big up, Coach. Big up, Chaz.
Big up to you too, brother. Always nice to have you around.
Yeah, appreciate it. On the point of on the wingers, I would prefer a winger in the attacking position. Obviously, our only winger is Pulisic, and for me, I don't think Pulisic is that bad as a player. I think this season he's been horrendous. Obviously, that last goal, the last shot was horrendous as well. But he's our only, as we put in quotation marks, a winger. However, he hasn't been consistent like majority of our attackers. So for me, as I said, I've always wanted Ousmane Dembele, but the only thing holding back is the injury problem. Now, you guys discussed before. Barcelona's injury, team. And they are absolutely shocking because, they've had people like Ansu Fati, Eric Garcia, Dest, even Cucurella when he was there. Like, they had a lot of injury problems there in their problem. I wouldn't maybe say Ousmane Dembele is focused majority on the medical team. Maybe they take a bit of a blame, but he has had a lot of injury crises to that specific, I think, groin or hamstring, if I'm not mistaken, one of those. So it is a worrying cause, but I still would bring him to the bridge if we can. If Tuchel wants him, I would 100% bring him because, as I said, Tuchel said he's the best player he's ever worked with. He sees a fantastic talent in him, and this is a rebuild for Tuchel. So if Tuchel wants him, I'll bring him for him. Obviously, the other winger, or attacker we could kind of say is someone like Rafinha. Rafinha from Leeds. Obviously now because Leeds are staying up, his price is going to be quite high. I think 60 million it is now. So again, that's someone I might take a risk of. But as we were discussing, attack is not the as much as our attack is so bad, it's not the priority for me at the moment. We've got the numbers in attack at the moment. It's trying to fill up our team. We have no defenders, guys. We have 0 defenders. Everyone's gone except for Reece James. Really, I don't see Thiago Silva as a starting player next season. I think he's too old. I think this season we kind of saw towards the end him falling off to the point where not falling off, but he kind of had to. I don't know. He just wasn't really consistent to the point like he was, leading, vocal. He was just kind of to himself, and I don't blame him for it. He's done so much for us, which I would like to keep him as a rotational player next season. If we're playing in a FA Cup semi-final or UCL, then we can play him. But for these small games, I don't see him playing at all, and that's why I'm saying we got to get 3 centre backs, and we got to get probably a winger backup. So that's 4 players from the back already. And I've said we only need to get 5 to 6 players because that's realistically how much we're going to get, 5 to 6, and that's still a big number. But we should make this happen quick. Like Aston Villa made 3 transfers in a week and a half. Like, why aren't we on this level? Like, obviously we haven't been taken over, but I'm hoping that when we get taken over, the takeover's done, that tomorrow, whenever it happens, Kunde comes in and then we can start going for players because that's what we need the most. Stop with this interested FC like we were last season because last season we were interested FC, waiting FC, 48 hours FC. Hopefully this season when we get the chance to have it taken down, we're going to be signing players non-stop.
Hey, Matt, what about the takeover, though?
We can't hear you, Declan.
Yeah, so, Matt wants to move like Villa. We don't even have an owner.
I just said when we get the takeover. When we get the takeover. The takeover is done, right? But obviously it's not official. But I've said I'm relating to previous seasons. I'm saying I want us to become Villa as soon as we get our ownership in handle. And that's going to happen possibly today or tomorrow. But when it does happen, whenever the hell it happens, I'm saying that we should act like Villa. Because we've done this last season. We did this season before, but we've done this for so many seasons. Like, I don't want to.
We have the ownership, Matt. So you can't count from what happened previously.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. I want us to go in with a new fresh season going in.
I was going to add that you can't expect something straight away if there's still being changes being done. I think we might be late into the transfer game.
That is a factor.
We're late already.
Now, and
we're late already, actually.
I know we're late already, and this ownership thing has gone way too long when they promised that it was going to be settled quick. So by the time it happens, and we have no idea who Bowley might want to bring in to maybe take over and control. There might be a shake-up up there. If there is, it's going to be even longer. If you're just going to keep doing business as usual, then Matt's got a point. We'll be doing the same things as we did before. But I also did believe we missed out on a lot of players last transfer window that we wanted to get, and I think they might continue those ones. Kunde being one, and I think there might be a lot of the ones we didn't know about. So if that's the case, then all the foundations are built. Like the foundation for Kunde is probably done. Kunde could probably happen day one. You're probably right about that. But some other players and the number of players we're going for, I think we might be a bit slow.
Yeah, okay, let me catch up the chat and I'll come back to you, Declan, or LSC next. And there's also Fatboy in the house. Says that we need wingers. you guys know, okay, like, this part is what interests me, where he says, you guys know we cannot get players unless players leave. Declan, I want to bring that one to you
Yes.
because you seem to think otherwise.
Yes, because I'll tell you what it is.
Mm.
And I want to say this in the most. I mean, I don't want to be so condescending or anything like that, or say anything bad about people. But I think people don't fully grasp on how we're playing at the moment and what the roles are of the players. Wingers have been the most appealing players, in the last couple of decades. The wingers are the most appealing players.
Mm.
They're fast, they dribble, and a lot of them that score. They're the most pleasing on the eye to see. That's why everyone's like, we need wingers. We want wingers. I want this guy that's going to take on players, and we need this and that. But unfortunately, we don't play like that. Do you know what I mean? We don't play with wingers. It's in the name, wingers, wide. That's why he's a wing back. We don't have that. We only have wing backs, which is also in the name, wide. So people, I'm pretty sure people by now know that. What we're lacking is these wingers that have been converted into agile strikers that play the half. So I said it before. The half space is the space between the wing, which is the line, and between the 18-yard box around there, right? That's a half space. The reason why that's important is because people find a lot of space there, right? And you've got a lot more options. On the wing, you're restricted. You can only go certain ways. But in that half space, you could do a lot more. And that's the one they found, because the middle's very narrow. But in that half space is where they found a lot of movement from players, and a lot of things can be made from those wings. So if you have a player that dominates the half space, you can have a lot of chances created and a lot of goals scored and a lot of ways to get in the box, right? That's why that's called the half space, and that's why in today's football that is focused on a lot more, right? We need players that look like wingers, that play more inside, that don't play it wide, right? And that are very clinical. And these can be categorized as some of the traditional wingers that we've seen that are good goal scorers, right? Or they can just be very agile strikers as well. Like Guzman. What would you classify Guzman as? Griezmann, sorry, I couldn't get Guzman.
I would say hybrid.
A hybrid, yeah.
Yeah.
A hybrid would be perfect for our front three. 3 hybrid players, right, in our front three, or not even 2, right, and have someone like what Mount does, which is an 8 and a 10, right? 2 very attacking hybrids, and you could say Mount is a hybrid in itself, right? Would be very ideal to play the system we're playing, and would actually dominate it with that. And you've seen the top 2 teams in the country playing that way. Man City don't have an striker, right? And they play with very attacking players that you could say are like wingers and hybrids, and so are Liverpool. So can you see why they're so dominant, right? Because they have these versatile players, and that's what this that's the whole Tuchel system. I think that a lot of players are very hybrid and very flexible and very versatile, right? So that's what Tuchel loves, and I think the players that will get targeted at will be those players. Like I just mentioned, Koundé.
Koundé's
So each position,
defensive position.
Yeah,
I know Koundé's more exactly. Koundé's a guy who drives and he plays more in the middle. I understand that, yeah. But who you take for the attack? Who do you want for the attack?
So I think what Tuchel really likes, right, is these hybrid, these flexible, whatever you want to name, players that have a wider range of characteristics to their game, right? Yeah. Sporting characteristics, right? And Tuchel loves that because he can give you a role and you can do a lot more, right? Okay, a wing back is like that too. And so then when you have Jorginho, right, who's very limited, right, you can only do one role. But if Tuchel had an opportunity to get someone so versatile that can do a lot more, right? Imagine a Jorginho that can distribute the pass, defend, and also contribute to the attack. right? Then Tuchel can do a lot more with that, and that goes with almost every position in this system. And I think you're going to see the type of transfers we get are going to be those type of players, which is why Lukaku struggled, because he's only that one way, and then we have a whole attack that can only play very certain roles with certain characteristics, and you've seen those players be benched by Tuchel, and then someone you don't like, Matt, which is Loftus-Cheek, right? Who you said he's not good enough, but he's very versatile, and you see he got more game time than a lot of these players because of that. So I think the players we're gonna be linked to everyone, but I think the players that are gonna come in are gonna have those characteristics, unless we miss out on target and we're desperate. We've got to get these one player just to play a role.
Yeah,
not every player has to be versatile, by the way.
Yeah, I'll bring in Andrew just to get him out the part where we were. Andrew, I haven't asked you this question, but quickly, let me just catch up with the chart. If you're in the chart, we have about 126 people watching, and we have just 74 likes. I think we should have at least 100 likes. So if you haven't, please just take a second to like the video. We have Tobago in the house and Just Viola in the house. So if anybody asks you to pay, tell them these two people had already paid for you. And please, if you haven't subscribed, do subscribe to the channel. We are getting closer to 2,000 subscribers right now. We have 1,908 subscribers. So we getting there, just 92 more subscribers to get to 1,000 subscribers, and we can do that. So if you haven't, like the video to help us reach more people. That's the only way. You don't even have to donate, just like the video. Show some love to the channel. That way we can reach more people. And the more people we have here, the show will be more fun. And then we can get more subscribers and reach 2K subscribers today. So please, I'd appreciate it if you can take a second to like the video. And you guys are absolute legend. Thank you for all the likes. Says, okay, and when did we have a consistent run? Again, that hasn't happened, and that's a good question there. So let me see. A big up, Lema. Okay, you just saying hello to someone else. And Tobago, no worries, bro. I understand that you're usually at work at this one, and bills don't pay themselves, so don't worry too much. Just because, again, this is not what I'm looking for questions here or inputs that's aligned to what we're talking. Sure, let's give the guys some time and have this conversation after next season. Again, can we get things straight? Kunde's deal went down because Sevilla moved the gate post. Yep, that's the truth. They knew, well, we had already sold Kazuma to West Ham United and wanted to, just to make the most of the situation and then to, get more money from us. But we didn't let them take us for a ride. Again, Hakimi's wife wanted Paris Saint-Germain. That's the truth. Haaland was silly cost. TT didn't want Gallagher, so Saul was brought in. Again, that's a fair argument there. Let me see, what else am I missing here? A good example of hybrid is Broya. Yep, he is hybrid indeed. He's more than a number 9. He's a complete player. He's fast and strong, dribbles, and has a good shooting technique. Yep, that's good to see. True Blue, thank you. I'm with you. Yep, good argument there. Declare that explains why he is after Nkunku. That may well be the case. Matthew just said that N'Golo Kante has, again, we're not talking about N'Golo Kante right now. We need a silver type of player. That's very important because he's not getting any younger. Maybe, Andrew, before we come back to the main topic, I think this is important. We're looking at Juice Kunde, and some say we're looking at Koulibaly. I don't know any other central defender that we're linked with. Looking at those two players, does any one of them, have the attributes, to fill in for Thiago Silva if he isn't there?
I don't know. Jules Koundé is that type of player. I think Jules Koundé is on either side of the main centre back type of player. Koulibaly probably is the one where you think that could play in the centre. That would be my.
But play in the centre and be able to execute the role as Thiago Silva does. Come on the ball.
Yeah, Thiago Silva, let him rest and use Thiago Silva when needed, not having to, because we've got to remember Thiago Silva's probably going to play in the World Cup as well. We've got to remember that as well. So
So he'd probably ask for him to be used, sparingly.
That's why it's important. I think we get someone. I'm not saying Koulibaly is that person, but someone with experience like that who can hold a defence together. Whatever you think of Koulibaly, if you think he's diminished, okay, but we are talking about someone who's turned only 31, and playing in the back three probably could help limit if anyone thinks he has limit any of his mistakes or anything like that. The purpose would be, I think Koundé looks like it's going to go through, like any day after they announce the takeover. But I'll wait and see until that's done. But I've always said 2 centre backs. I'm starting to think 3 centre backs we need to buy, only because if you settle for Koundé and one other, you are then have the possibility of sticking with Thiago Silva and Chalobah and promoting Colwell, or does he then does then the right wing back come into mind, and then he's thinking about playing Reece James more as a right centre back over the next season? So for me, I'd prefer to have Reece at right wing back predominantly than right centre back. But it's interesting because I would try and buy 3 centre backs. If I'm honest with you, I'd be more happier that way, because I don't want to rely on Chalobah and Colwell. Because at some point during the season in a big game, due to injuries, it's just going to happen. We're going to have both of them in a back three, and I'm just not comfortable with having 2 young centre backs in the back three. That's one at a time for me, not both. I'm a bit fearful of that, but Koulibaly would be a good choice. I don't know about the price though. Napoli are he's very hard to negotiate with, the Napoli owner. He's very hard to negotiate. He puts a lot of he skyrockets the prices of his players. So I don't know, but it's exciting to think I think Chelsea fans need to be excited for who we're linked to, who we're going to buy, stuff like that. But let's see, man. Koulibaly for me. Koulibaly and Koundé defo for me, and then one other. I don't know who, but one other for me.
Yeah, Declan, your thoughts on that? The 2 names that we just talked about, are they capable of fulfilling, to you, your opinion, do you think they're capable of fulfilling the Thiago Silva role?
Koulibaly, yes, and I think that'd be a great role, a great replacement for, because I don't think Silva can do what he did this season with
Here's the thing, you're not
games.
Concerned there's something, because the fact is it's not Thiago Silva like for like.
No.
Not even
in that position, you need someone that's mainly, I think the highest priority, you want someone with decent amount of good experience. I don't want to put a really young player in there. Because he's essential, that person has a more crucial role and more pressure with the ball. So he sees the ball more than the outer players, right? And if he turns over the ball, it's straight a chance. So there's more pressure when that person has the ball, right? So you want probably so that's where I think Koundé's skills, he can play that area, right? But doesn't have the experience. And I think he might lack the experience, right? But definitely the ball, he has the ball skills for it. You need someone in that position also runs the back line, right? And has the best view. That person's not really marking up the best players, right? It's the 2 other centre backs that are. The person in the middle is controlling that centre back, the 6s, and he's also part of the big build-up play. So you need someone that has a good defender mind, like the good experience, right? We can say so. An older player is usually better, and someone that's really good on the ball. And I think Koulibaly fits that, especially with his defensive knowledge. So, and like the other players that played there was Christensen, good on the ball, and I think Christensen had good defensive knowledge, right? Sometimes he lacked physicality and stuff like that.
His calmness on the ball, he would have made a perfect replacement for Thiago Silva.
Exactly.
I don't know about you, Declan. I just think we need to. Thiago Silva, there's only one Thiago Silva, right? You can't get another Thiago Silva. You can try and find characteristics in a player like him. I don't think Koulibaly is anywhere near the passing ability that Thiago Silva has, from what I've seen. But maybe that's not needed. Just his experience and leadership. It's just needed to calm everyone down, or if anything happens, but just be like a guiding light to if he has a Chalobah, or even a Koundé. Because Koundé, let's face it, Koundé's only 24, right? You know, he's played a lot, but he's coming in, if we sign him, he's coming into a new league, same as Koulibaly as well. So I just think I think people need to I think sometimes we get tunnel vision of, we need to find someone that's like Thiago Silva or like near enough Thiago Silva. You're not going to find him, all right?
No.
I think you have to you're going to have to sacrifice some characteristics Thiago Silva has, because
the characteristics I was giving was for that position, not per se for Silva. So for what the position needs. Yeah, you're 100% right. You're not going to find Silva and probably nowhere near him. But for that role, if you remember, Christensen did that role, right?
Yes.
Probably wasn't the leadership, right? But I think one of the main things was he was good on the ball. And he was calm, and I think he does have good defensive knowledge, which kept it alright. But he lacked the leadership when he played there, so maybe it was disjointed between them. So if you can hit the free check marks to a certain degree, probably that's the best person you can get.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think I've asked LSC this question, but quickly, LSC, let us know what you think. Do you think they're capable of fulfilling it? Again, at least the primary responsibility of that is the individual that leads the back line, especially the way we play. Notwithstanding whether that person is as calm as Thiago Silva or whatever.
Yeah, I think you asked me in previous streams. Yeah, basically we all know his record, and we know his experience level and his leadership skills. That's what we need him for, basically. I think with the situation of Rudiger, we just need someone with more experience, because we're not gonna have a good defense if we are relying on kids. If the oldest person on the defense is actually Chalobah, it doesn't make sense, because we are not going to expect Thiago Silva to play much game next season, even though he will want to play as much game as possible. He trusts himself. He believes he's taking good care of himself. But I don't think it's wise for him to play all the games. So he needs to play the most important games where his knowledge and skills will be important. So in terms of maturity of the ball, I trust Koulibaly to do the job. I trust him to do similar job, maybe not with the same personality, or with the same calmness, but at the end of the day, what we want is we want the same results. The result is we want is as many clean sheets as possible. All right, so I would prefer him compared to Gavador that has been touted around, because we don't want a lot of kids in there, especially at this point.
Matt, your thoughts?
I think going into the centre backs position this season, I've always wanted a Koulibaly for leadership. However, now kind of thinking, last couple of days, I was thinking I don't think we go for someone like Koulibaly personally if we don't secure Koundé and another centre back, because we already have Thiago Silva. We have to replace people that we don't already have. I 100% agree that we need someone to cover Thiago Silva's spot. As I said, Thiago Silva's not going to be starting to play next season, and Koulibaly would be the best replacement for him. As we know, he's got that leadership in him. So I will go for Koulibaly if we can, hypothetically. I've said, last stream, Koundé, Koulibaly, Cucurella. That's my back three, because as we said, we can't go with a young back three. Because back three, it's a harder role than a back two. You can have a youngsters to youngsters, but you can't have 3. And you need someone there for that leadership. And we need someone there. And Koulibaly is the best one who can come and fix it. That's on the market. But again, I would personally go for Koundé, Cucurella, and then if we go for another one, I will go for Cucurella. But again, it's priority. We have to go for these players, hypothetically, but realistically, I'm not sure because obviously we're linked with that Leipzig guy, Gava Oru. I'm not sure how you pronounce his name, but it's that Croatian guy. I haven't seen anything of him. He's from Leipzig. He's 22. So we're going for another youngster. So we're going to go for 2 youngsters. So then after that, we have to get an experienced player like 30, 29, 31. Someone who has leadership. You can be not the best player, honestly. I'll be honest with you. You can be like a Jordan Henderson. Not be the best player, but if you got that leadership, that quality, that's what I need in the back 3 right now. Someone who come in just like that. Even though Jordan Henderson's a pretty shit leader, I'm not going to lie. But someone who is just such a good leader that, even like... No, I'm not going to say that player. But I want someone who comes in with that leadership and urgency quality because Thiago Silva isn't going to do that as much as he did that this season. Salah's season, he was killing it. In the season, he was kind of dying off because, it's not his job for him to be doing that. So hopefully we get someone who can come and do that for... who's like not 36, 37, who's 30, 31, that kind of age. And the only market on the market is Koulibaly.
Yeah, I think we have to make do with what we have. Unfortunately, that's the only thing, the only regret I have for us losing Andreas Christensen because it could have over time the more he played with Thiago Silva, he'd get better at executing, leading that back line, as perfectly.
But I want someone, coach, who can come in and not have someone hold their hand. Christensen, I agree. He played well with Silva at times. But I need someone coming in and not need their hand held, like, someone like Varane. That's who Christensen is. He's a B-Tech Varane. You need someone to hold their hand to play well. And I want someone comes in with that leadership and urgency, can play anywhere, can play with anyone. And that's what we need.
Here's the thing, Matt. I get your point. That mix of, you should say, how do I phrase it again? Having Rudiger and Thiago Silva, it makes a huge difference. So that's why whenever Andreas Christensen comes in for Thiago Silva and we still have Rudiger, so long as Andreas Christensen is in the middle, he does well because we have a mix of I just lost the word I want to use. We have aggression and also that calmness and the calmness on the ball. I think you make a good sense. He needs somebody to hold his hand. That's why he didn't struggle even if Thiago Silva isn't on the pitch and he's leading the back line and Antonio Rudiger is available. Things are usually fine for us, but I sincerely do get your point. I'm going to try and catch up with the chat and now come back to the panel so we can talk about the next thing we have here. But I think I may have a question for you, Matt. Is it LSC? I don't think you've talked about what it means for that. The fact that we're looking at that Ousmane Dembele may well come to Chelsea. What that means to Tuchel's statement that he doesn't want to. He's not looking to change the system, but Declan had already argued that doesn't mean the Dembele coming. Doesn't mean that changes. But that's by the way. David says that we need a decent cover for Reece James if we will be using a back 3. That way he will get rest and keep him fit. Again, decent. I don't know what you mean by decent. I think we need a competition for Reece James. He doesn't have to play every game. After all, he's a human being. There's so much game he can play at a stretch. He's going to burn out, and then we'll be in serious problems. So we need a competition, and whoever is in a better form starts. I said disagree because he actually gets again. I don't know. Says Tribune says Tuchel's system is suited to Germany, where many German sides use it. German defenses are higher up in more spaces for the channels, half spaces. England is different. Totally why Pep has bought 2 strikers. That may well be the case. Yeah, it didn't make any sense trying to go for a 20-year-old when we have a promising 19-year-old who's just played really well in the championship. Levi Colwell, Koulibaly, and Koundé as the new CBs for me. I think those 3 may well, suffice and do a good enough job for us in the season. By the way, Koundé doesn't have to come in and start right away. He can start from the bench. Chalobah can start the games in his stead while he watches, just like Liverpool. Yep, they can, rotation it will be key to us achieving good stuff this season. Again, I missed something that Choma wrote, but I'll look for it later. Mighty, again, that's your team for next season. And I'm going to come back to the panel immediately and ask this question. Let me start with you, Matt, then I'll go back to LSG. Dembele coming in, is that a giveaway that Tuchel is going to switch up the system next season, or do you think it doesn't make any difference?
Is Thiago Silva what?
Dembele coming in. No, forget the comment on the screen. Yeah, if Chelsea sign him, to you, is that a giveaway that Tuchel may well, switch up things in terms of formation next season, or do you think that doesn't mean anything?
No, 100% does. I think even Declan point out before how in this system we kind of play not to point central, but we don't really use the wings as much. Our wingers don't cross and stuff. And Dembele's a player who does get crosses. He is just spamming crosses. If you watch him, he's just always crossing, always crossing. He goes to the corner and somehow he'll get past and he'll get a cross in. So he's kind of player who plays in a back four. He's been down for Barcelona. He plays in a 4-3-3, in a basic 4-3-3. He plays, on the right or the left. He's versatile. He's left-footed and right-footed. People still don't know what foot he is. So that's what someone we need if we want to use a proper winger, because that's what a proper winger is. They use their corners, they cross the ball in, they take on their players, they use their pace. We don't have that. The only player we have that is probably Pulisic, and again, he hasn't done that. He hasn't shown it. So again, Ousmane Dembele coming to Chelsea is 100% going to possibly not change the system, but give us some more ideas. Like test out a 4 at the back. Because now we're confident with an attacker, or maybe we test a 3 or test something different, 4-4 or something. Give us some testing strategies to put out, because this season we'll always suck with the 3. Because yes, the 4 Ziyech might have done a bit better, but then the 10 other players would have done worse. At least going in now, maybe we can see with our new signings that majority of the players can do better than the 4, maybe majority of doing the 3. Whichever the majority is and what we're winning games with is the priority. And if just Dembele is playing well in a 4 and no one else is, then let's not go to a 4. But it's whatever wins the game is the formation we play with. So we'll test that out definitely in the preseason. That's what I'm saying. When we get our ownership taken over, if hopefully, Tobo gets right into business, because I want to get a nice and early preseason getting ready with all these players, because, we're not, I don't want to go straight in the league and then, we have these difficulties. So, yeah, it definitely will change, hopefully.
Yeah, I think you made a good point. That's why I think we should just move beyond that argument, that because the truth is he can play no matter the system. Tuchel will find a way. He's played under him and probably understands how he like to approach games. But I'll come to you, LSE. Do you have anything to say to that? Even him coming to Chelsea, is that an issue for you? Because we've talked about him. There's a lot of issues. I don't want to keep repeating it, so it doesn't seem like as if I have an agenda against the player.
Yeah. I think we've talked about it. I can't remember now. But when it comes to Dembele, yeah, it's true that he's worked with Tuchel, and it's also true that Tuchel admire him so much as one of his most talented player that he ever worked with, naturally talented player. So would that be an indication of a change in our system of play? That's yet to be seen if we actually complete his transfer. But I remember that Tuchel did play a 4-2-3-1 system at Dortmund, with Dembele in the team. Sometimes I think usually play with Aubameyang on front. So Aubameyang will be the one at the top. Then they will have Mkhitaryan and Reyes. Gundogan in the midfield. Yeah, he has the ability to change, to make those changes. The build-up phase usually involve a lot of overload and isolation of the opposition. So I don't think his comment is definitely going to have a lot of impact in the system. But like I said before, Tuchel would like to stick to it because he believes that there are still some players in the team that still have the characteristics to play the 3 at the back system. So if that's his belief, then let it be. All right. But if on the occasional cases where he has to play a 4 at the back, then Dembele will be perfect. I think the mistake we made last season, this is just my opinion, instead of Lukaku, we could have gone for a Martinez, from Inter as well, because I think he fits that winger forward, role a bit more, compared to Lukaku. So I think it was just because of some personal interest at the club. And that's what they want, and the story behind it. Look who is coming back, and all of that. So this is why this season there shouldn't be sentiment involved whatsoever in the personnel of players that will have to attract to this club. We finished at third position. So that's good enough, even though the gap between us and the top two is a bit wide. We just have to see who is going to work with Tuchel, because I heard that Bole wants to work directly with Tuchel. I don't know what he knows that's going to warrant him to work directly with him. Maybe just to see what's happening, how the whole system is going, probably. All right. But if Dembele is the option to come, that means we are not getting Sterling. That means we are not getting who, because we need.
I think that's a good point right there. Again, thank you very much. I think you made a very good point there. And Declan, I'm going to go to you.
I was going to.
Sorry, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, you are two questions basically. So on the issue of whether the controversy surrounding Dembele, my opinion on this is that I know I was part of the protest, the Ricketts family protest. So I'm not going to be an hypocrite, to say that I'll totally condone whatever statement that he made. All right. So, but what I will say is this: is the intention. All right. If he did it in malice, and the difference between the two would be, for me, one, we have the Ricketts that have the capacity to be here for more than a decade. All right. And they are more in powerful position compared to a footballer. All right. So, and again, this issue of, I wouldn't have been involved in any protest if not for the so-called woke, ideology that are pushing others, that are trying to find racism in every single situation. All right. We live in a war right now where the anti-racists are actually the racists, and they call anyone who doesn't agree with their point of view racist. So the term become meaningless to me. All right. So, and according to this same woke ideology, if you compare the Ricketts family and Ousmane Dembele on the intersectionality ladder, otherwise called the Oppression Olympics, you'll see that Dembele is at the very top, because the woke people will want to appeal more to him. So it's not going to get into much trouble. That's my point. It's not going to get into much trouble as, as somebody that is Caucasian that makes similar statements, which is sad. The treatment is supposed to be equal for everyone, but for someone like Dembele, it's not going to be the same. All right. So that's why I don't think it's going to be much of a controversy for us if we get him. Because
I think you made one brilliant comment here. And that was why I asked the question. Chelsea fans who objected to the possibility of the club signing Antoine Griezmann, all of a sudden they're all for the club signing Ousmane Dembele, and that's why you say, had he been a Caucasian, that would have been a different level of issue. But again,
different level of issue, exactly, because of this woke ideology on the intersectionality ladder. If you are, if, for example, I'm not attributing that he's gay or anything like that, let's assume he's gay, all right? Then, he move a bit higher in the ladder, If he decides to become a woman or trans, then he'll be at the very top. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I get your argument, and thank you for brilliant. Let's just move beyond that before it leads us into a path we don't want to go. And again, I want to quickly catch up with the chat. I think I did my best today. And again, I'm looking for a studio engineer to make it easier, because I do the whole thing myself now to help me highlight aligned comments. Well, that's, by the way, I just want to say thank you for 95 likes, but we can actually do better than that. So I'm urging you, please, if you haven't, take a second to please like the video. The more you like the video, the more people we can reach, and the more people can join us, and then it will be even more fun show if we have a lot of people watching. So please do like the video if you haven't, and also subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Right now, I'm going to show it to you. Let me find it here and be sure you can see what's going on, because we got to this place together. Right now we have, I'll show it to you in a bit. Sorry, it's just a bit slow. Yeah, right now we have 1,913 likes. Just a few more. Yeah, it sounds the number does. It sounds like it. Like I said, we have should be how many? 80 something. To get to 2,000 likes, and again, that is not far away. We're almost there. So if you haven't, please do like the video and also subscribe to the channel if you haven't. So Declan, coming to you, the comment on the screen, and I urge us all as much as we can to try to keep our answers brief, so that, because we have quite a lot of stuff to talk about. Declan, your thoughts on this comment on the screen, which says we must have. That's from, by the way, from my friend and brother Mikhail. Thank you for finding time to join the conversation. It says we must have 4 attacking wing backs to challenge all season long in a back three. Declan, your thoughts on that?
We do, unless one of them can play both sides, then we can count that as 2. That's why I believe Emerson might come back. And if Alonso leaves, Emerson is the backup on the left, and maybe we go for someone on the right. But yeah, we lost both our wing backs, and that killed the great start that we had.
Mm-hmm.
So it is important, and that's why I really felt like Hakimi was a really good signing, worth his money, because he would have been the person that played both sides, and that's a person that counts for 2 in this scenario. So I hope maybe we can find someone that can play both. If not, I think Emerson would be the left backup or rotational player, whichever way you want to catch. And then and maybe another, and we buy someone for the right, or promote someone, or something gives. And I think just to add this, I think a lot of our answers might be known, and maybe the club waits for pre-season. I think pre-season will give Tuchel an idea of who can play where and where we throw our money at. So maybe some signings won't happen straight away. Maybe they'll give a chance for Tuchel to actually see in the pre-season on which players he wants to keep out of. There's a big list coming back, and then from there they actually go to pick the spots to buy. Because if we need say 6-7 players, if he can get free from the youth and loan, then we throw our money at the other 3. And I think that's the case.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think you make a good argument there. Let me start with you on this one, LSE, before I go to Matt. We've been linked to Nkunku, and I think you could argue he's a fine player overall. Do you have reservations on that, or do you think he fits the system and we should go for him? And some are suggesting even us trying to get him to join us, and we give them their former player in Timo Werner. LSJ, you there? Matt, you can come in. It looks like we've lost LSJ. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I was on mute. Yeah, I think Tuchel has worked with him before at PSG.
Nkunku.
So he knows it. Nkunku, I think so, if I'm not mistaken.
I think you're right. I've heard that before. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so I think it can work, where we have to consider Bundesliga test to see, but he's been doing this consistently now for, a few seasons. Yeah, he's a versatile player. I like him. I like his attitude. And yeah, I won't be mad if we get him. But, all these lengths, instead of who, let's look at, I think the best way to do this, coach, will be, create a short list for, the midfielders, their forwards, the defense, all right? instead of us looking at these players randomly as we're doing at the moment, So I think it's better if we have, the short list of the midfielders, the defend, the goalkeeper we name, all right? And in terms of our system, we know we rely mainly on the wing backs. We give them full license to attack, all right? So that's why with the injury of Chilwell, I don't think he's going to be the same player next season. I want to be proven wrong, all right, in this regard. But I don't think, we should just rely on him as the main person. And with the rumor of Emerson coming back, if he wasn't good for Tuchel, before now, so why now? Why do we need him now? Why do we need, why does he need to come back? Let's look for a way for Leon to get him permanently. So we must go for someone, like Bastoni, that is very, very good in attack and good in defense. All right, that would be my opinion on that.
Yeah, thank you very much for that. And we've gained 2 more subscribers. We're really getting there. I think we can actually reach 2K subscribers today. And more importantly, thank you for 101 subscribers. That is not easy. I sincerely do appreciate that. And thank you for everybody that have subscribed. Right now, we're at 1,918 subscribers. And we're not far away from reaching 2,000. And I think that can happen today. Matt, I'm going to come to you to please help me answer this question on the screen before we go back to talking about Nkunku. He says, I have a question for the panel. Or in order going forward into the next season, which position should we fix?
I've always said this. It's our defense. If we lose Alonso Aspie, that the number speaks for itself. We've got 2 starting defenders. So 100%, it's our defense we got to work on. We all know, we've all been talking about who to get, and then I think secondly it goes straight to the midfield. As I said, I think attacking is the last priority, despite us being probably the worst at that. We have the numbers for that, and I don't think we go for something where we have numbers for it. Like realistically, we should be focusing on the stuff that is our weakness, and our weakness is the attack. However, we're in a spot where we've got aging midfielders, we've got no defenders. Our midfield position, we've got Kante, Jorginho, both aging. Kante had a stinker of a season. Kovacic, I'm not sure if he's going to be fit enough to play every single game next season, and we need someone to come in and be to come and fill in that gap of a world class midfielder. For me, that's Tchouaméni. Unfortunately, we're not going to be getting him. So in that sense, I don't think anyone besides maybe Bissouma can come in and fix our midfield, and then we go to the attack, and then we can fix on the attack. But I will go for that order: start from the back and go to the top.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. To that question, I think it's obvious what the situation makes it obvious that we need to start fixing the defensive line first of all before anything else. And here's something else you say that I like so much. As much as we don't like our attackers, as much as they've not been the best, I think our hands, you could argue, have been forced to focus on the defensive department. We have the best of our best defender is no longer, he's not getting any younger, and we're losing about 4 defenders also. So that by choice is that's our priority. Obviously, should be fixing the defense. And the point you made, I like so much. As much as we don't like our attackers, we may well have them next season because there may not be time enough to get to them. I'm still arguing that. I know Declan thinks otherwise, but then I have somebody on the panel that thinks the same. Again, with our hands, you must agree, Declan has been forced to start from the defensive line, and we may not be able have time. There's a chance we might not have time enough to overhaul the attacking area to get in the players Tuchel will trust. It's not like the players we have there are bad players, but I'm going to catch up with the channel and I'll come back to the panel again. Since we already have players like Martinez, can you tell me who you're talking about? Showtime. I know your whole argument. If you don't do that, I'll ask you for your ID. If you don't, come here and fight for Lukaku, what we must do for Lukaku to work, I will ask you for your ID. But that's, by the way, it says Chama Joseph says, Chama, by the way, Kekime, I hope you're well. It's a pity that it didn't work out for Lukaku. Simple, it's as that. And I don't see that changing because Tuchel himself has refused to change. He's openly said he's not willing to, tweak the system to accommodate a single individual, and I'm
Well,
all
it
for
did.
that. So the best
didn't
option
work.
would be both parties should just go their separate ways. And Lukaku finds a club that will be willing to change the way they play to accommodate him. So and move on with his career. The True Blue says playing 4-3-3 with one DM benefits Lukaku. Pulisic and Ziyech, not just Ziyech. It does not stop James Chilwell attacking. It also allows Mount, Gallagher, Havertz, or whoever, whatever the pairing will be next season, to play central attacking midfield position, more attacking players. Again, I think we've made that argument on this show before. While Stav was here, I think we play two DMs when only one can suffice. But I think maybe in that we need a defined DM, so you can say, okay, we have a defined DM and one alone can suffice. And then one more person, if we play a single DM or not two sixes, then we have one more person to join the attack, which makes perfect sense. Again, somebody only wants Lewandowski. That's Nick Blue, we know. I hope that happens so that you can buy me a beer. Again, says, do you think next season we can keep Broya and play him with Lukaku in a two? That's a chance that can happen. Broya is capable of doing that. Go ahead, Matt. You were saying something?
No, I just want to say I wouldn't mind seeing that. To be honest with you, I wouldn't mind it. Yeah, see how it works out. Maybe it could work out. It's either a hit or miss.
Yeah, I think it could work out because Broya is capable of getting more involved in the play than Lukaku does, which Lukaku can stay, and maybe, unsettle the defense, while Broya can help also. I think Broya, he has the intelligence to use his moves, to create spaces for Lukaku. That is, if Lukaku is still here next season, again, I know selling Lukaku will be very, very difficult, but there's a chance it happens. But we can loan him out. And then again, we can't sell him for a low price, given that we still owe Inter Milan 70 million plus. But that's, by the way, before I continue catching up with the chat, Declan, I want to come back to you quickly. What do you think about this input by Tobago playing Broya alongside Lukaku?
You're talking about a whole new way of attacking.
I mean, a whole new combo, if you want to phrase it that way.
You'd have to play the way Conte plays, and not really high possessing. It requires a long ball that would go into Broja and Lukaku, and it's almost like a bad combo because they are very similar. If you ever saw how Conte approached the two forwards, was he always liked one more smaller winger, agile, great on the ball forward, paired up with someone of the size of Lukaku. He had I forgot his name back then, but he had a lot of the big strikers playing the second, so he had that matching pair. So the best example was Martinez and Lukaku, and Martinez did a lot of the dropping back, did a lot of legwork, and that's why it was a great point brought up about we should have went for Martinez, because I was echoing that in the transfer season. When I watched Inter play, I rated Martinez more than Lukaku because Martinez did a lot more. On the stat sheet, it doesn't look like that, but he created so much for Lukaku, and it doesn't show on. That's something you don't see on paper, which a lot of people just went off. So, but in conclusion, yeah. You're talking about playing a whole new different way. It doesn't really work like that.
No, here's the thing. No, I think we've done that sometimes. We've done that on occasions, and I don't think we don't have to. We don't necessarily have to approach it like Conte does. Here's what I said. Now, maybe it's similar. What I explained is similar to what Antonio Conte does, but here's how I suggest we do it. Both we know Broya is better on the ball and better at getting involved in the play. While Lukaku, he sometimes gets involved in the play, but he's not as good as Broya is. He could just be static as he likes it and wait for the ball, but at least unsettle the opposition defenders. While Broya can also make spaces for him and vice versa. and while Broja gets more involved in the play, again, that's my suggestion. I don't know how to better,
So let's say getting involved in the play in which part of the grounds would you want to see Broja wide?
No, he can drop deep. He can go wide. It's just a freedom to go wherever. Yeah, to support play.
So the front three, and especially the ones that are priority to stick to one side, right? They're usually very interchangeable, but there are roles there to stick to one side. That when you say that player drops and links up with the wing backs and the six as well. So you can see that triangle there, yeah? With also linking up with the forward. But he also has to help with the wing back, maybe a little 1-2, maybe whatever, one of them go in and stretch out. So that person that's why you would see that player that is playing in one of the front threes, sometime wide, sometime in, right? Now that's why the characteristics of a kind of a winger / striker, however you want to say it, right? That's where it benefits, where someone can play a little bit wide, he can also play in the middle, and he's very clinical, right? And that's what, if you had all the front three, and maybe Liverpool front three is probably the perfect example of that. How they all change, they all can play wide, and they're all goal scorers, right? And it's probably a good example, and we need the same type of players to play that. Now, Broja and Lukaku aren't going to be those players, yeah?
We have to make do with Lukaku because we have him, and selling him isn't that easy.
It is easy if you're going to take a price hit on him, and if he wants to leave.
Give me a number.
Well, look, the scenario would be, right, if Lukaku stays, there's also a very good chance that Lukaku sits on the bench again, just when Tuchel dropped him, right? So there'd be a probably good chance that we pick up another attacker, right? Just even one, and it might put Lukaku on the bench again, or Lukaku might actually step up and might adapt and maybe give a bit more. So you can get away with one. Now I'll go back to Liverpool again because it's probably very good examples. When Liverpool play Origi instead, right? Instead of like Jota, for example. Now, Origi is not the same as Jota, right? So that's when the other two do the other leg work and Origi sticks the ball in the middle. That's what Lukaku was meant to be, right? But Lukaku really limited himself, and he didn't even take part in many of the contributing roles. He's just waiting for the ball. Right, and that's why people got this concept. Oh, he doesn't get service. No, he doesn't do enough to even get involved in the play. If he's just going to sit there and wait for the ball, then he's really doing half his job, right? Or very little. And we need a lot more. Every team wants more from the strikers these days. And if he's going to sit there and wait for the ball, then we're missing a player in most of our attacks. So you got to look at maybe those Liverpool forwards and what Liverpool does in the forward line, just in the forward line, and the front three, and when Origi plays, is a great example of what we need in the front three. So if Lukaku improves, then yes, it can still work with two side players that can do the rest of the role. Like Havertz, Lukaku, and Mount could actually work. That could actually work. But what I'm really against, right, is that is a gamble going into the next season, because I'm expecting a massive lift and a massive chemistry where Havertz starts scoring a lot more, right? And Havertz can do that role. And then Lukaku starts scoring a lot more, and Lukaku starts running a lot more, right? And if people are willing to take that gamble on that hope, then not getting players in, then yeah, that's your opinion. But I don't feel right going into the next season relying on that. I want some new players that could do that, and that can also put pressure on Lukaku and have and the rest of the attackers that can lift up and do that role. So it's a long answer.
Yeah, again, thank you very much. No worries. Again, I'll come back to LSC, then I'll go to Matt. But quickly, I want to say, I saw something here. Again, as Sterling is not for Chelsea. Even Tuchel doesn't like him. I'd like to see a transcript of your conversation with Thomas Tuchel, Nick Blue. You simply don't like the player. Again, and you have every right not to like him. Again, it's your opinion, but I don't know why you're telling us Thomas Tuchel don't like him. again, this is more a conversation following what Nick Blue says. He says because Nick Blue don't like him, and I think that's just the case. This win back situation is why Perisic makes a lot of sense. He can play both sides, and also doesn't prevent Ian Matson from coming into the team in a 2-year time. I think that's a good shout there and a good way to plan it. And again, I think the good thing about Perisic is he's good. He's a creator too, and he can also play in the left midfield position where he creates quite a lot of chances and can score good goals too. So again, he has the potential to make us better, and I think he's Tuchel's kind of player. Why? Because he's able to play himself out of very tight spaces. No matter how you pressure him, he remains calm on the ball. And those are the type of players that will help Thomas Tuchel to execute his approach to the game as he wants it. Again, hopefully we get Paris. I do hope we get him, but the chances are you could say not that much. Because why? Because Inter has an offer for him on the table. They really do want to keep him. He was brilliant for them this past season, so I tried to keep him too if I were Inter. We should have gotten Hakimi, but his wife wanted to go to PSG. And again, there's something about North African players. There's some of them do speak French, and some of them do prefer going to France instead of England. I think I've talked about that with Lionel Joel on a video we made. I think it was regarding the possibility of us signing Hakimi then. This is Triple saying success to Vago. You made me do that. I didn't want to do it because I wasn't sure if that was the real Tobago until you said something. Again, TT had a season to figure out what was missing. Preseason games would highlight all the gaps better than competitive matches. I think, yep, you're right. Now he'd have players in mind that he wants to sign. And again, he complained at the point that the government restrictions hasn't helped matters, hasn't also given us the opportunity to quickly move in for players we'd like to bring into the club. Again, but that's, by the way, says he took my hint. Yep, that's exactly what happened. I took your hint and I did it. I'm happy we're having a proper preseason so Tuchel can plan. I think he's already planned. I think his plan starts from bringing in players he'd want to fortify the team. Pac-Man, you're asking for an argument. Okay, this is another thing. Let me see if there's anything to address. If not, we will move ahead. I said, how about Cucurella? Mr. Opera, we'll still talk about Cucurella, and if you want me to say it in our dialect, I'll say that. Cucurella, so I hope that's okay. And thank you very much here. I'm coming back. I'll fix the fence first. That's the obvious choice. That's the obvious approach. Even if we're able to sign more players in the midfield area and the attacking area, the fixes starts with the defensive area because we're losing quite a lot of players there. I says we have 200 million if we sell, but we are buying everybody. Yeah, good argument. Yeah, we're buying everybody with just 200 million, and the 200 million isn't actually available. We have to sell to complete it to 200 million. So yeah, fix the fence first. And again, thank you very much for Edward Hagen for the for the donation. Matt, do you know this person?
Yeah, he was on Lewis's stream yesterday. I don't know, Edward.
And you guys had an argument or something, but that's fine.
No, he just donates money. He doesn't come on the panel, But
again,
he expresses his emotions through donations, so I respect it. Gives you money.
Again, I appreciate the donation, which means he's, at least to some measure, enjoying the show. So thank you very much for the donation. I appreciate that. Pac-Man, Chouameni, or Bissouma, I think we're not getting Chouameni. I think that's obvious now. If we get him, I'd be surprised. I think he is my preferred choice. But after watching Bissouma again, if you take your time to watch Bissouma, it will be difficult to make a choice. And also the fact that he's played in the Premier League, he's used to the pace, he's used to the physicality, that makes a huge difference. But we're talking about Bissouma later. Mendy, Reece James, Silva, Koundé, Koulibaly, Kante, Kova, Mount, Nkunku, Havertz, Tirana, Fortune Sates. Again, that's a good shout to offer all those players. Plus, again, I want to say thank you for 106 likes, but I do know fully well we can do better than that. So if you haven't, please take a second to like the video, and also subscribe to the channel if you haven't. That goes a long way. Or let me just put it this way: if you're happy that soon we'll get an announcement that Todd Boehly is a new Chelsea owner, please do smash that like button and also subscribe to the channel. Let me see if there's anything else to address here. It's so hard to change the formation to suit players. That's why Tuchel needs to get players who will be suitable for the formation he intends to play moving forward. I think that's the way it should be. Yes, Perisic. Yep, that's something we will sell Broya. Nick Blue says, remember, I told you so. You've argued that quite a lot, but I still do think we'll keep him because he's such a talented kid. Again, if we want to sell him, there will be no shortage of buyers, that's for sure. Also, we don't use one system next season. I don't think we should do that. It's too risky. I think I'm all caught up until you let me know whenever you see anything you feel like I should address. Just Viola, I know you're in the chat. Did I skip anything important here? Yeah, I skipped something, but it's just all a spam. Now, I'm going to come back to the panel. And Matt, I don't know if you've spoken about Nkunku. I know LSC has. LSC, did you have anything to say before I move to Matt?
No, I'll go on with Matt now.
Thank you very much, bro, because anytime you can always come in. I know you've spoken about Nkunku, but we got distracted while we were answering some questions in the chat. But anytime you want to speak, you can always come in. I know you're not the one to, try to object or come in when someone else is talking, so it's easy to forget you're there, but I appreciate that gentility in you. Now, Matt, tell us what you think about our pursuit of Nkunku, if it is true. Not pursuit, they say he's on Thomas Tuchel's list.
Well, let's be honest, we're going to be linked with kind of everyone. Like, we've been that club for years where we're just, this Chelsea interested in this, interested in this, interested in this. So we're obviously going to be interested in someone like Nkunku, who scored, I think, 24 goals and had 10 assists in the Bundesliga. Now, I haven't watched him personally. Just by going off it, I've heard that he's like the French Werner, and I'm scared of the Bundesliga tax. I'll be honest. I look at where he's playing, and I've seen just the highlights, and I'm not going to dictate everything off that because obviously you don't dictate anything off highlights. But I feel like he's kind of like that French Werner, and I'm a bit hesitant on him. I haven't done the research on him, which I got to do on that because I'm more focused on, as I said, and Ousmane Dembele or Rafinha. But he's 24. Just by going off what I've seen, he isn't. I wouldn't mind someone who's kind of not young but not old, who's had that middle, young life experience. Something that we always go for. We always go for the young stuff. We don't go for the players, who are the 24s that time. The experienced young players. So I wouldn't mind to have someone like that, but I just got to kind of look more at him. But again, as I said, I would rather Rafinha or a Dembele. But if the price is right, if Tuchel wants him, I wouldn't mind him because I think attackers is going to be hard to get this season. Everyone's wanting an attacker. Everyone's wanting the perfect attacker. As I said, and as I said again, Chelsea's interested FC. We're going to be interested with pretty much any attacker that has scored a goal and wants to leave their club.
And let me get something straight. Did you just compare him with Timo Werner?
Yeah, people were saying he's the French Timo Werner, and I'm scared for as well because I believe because of the Bundesliga tax. And I always say this with any attacker from the Bundesliga, I'm always just scared of the Bundesliga tax because the way that they score their goals, they have a lot of space. Like looking at even the Serie A, it's just so different to how you would score a goal in the Premier League. It's just they have a lot more time, they have a lot more space, they have a lot more time to think. There's not a lot of pressure as much as the Premier League. That's why I always say the Premier League is probably the highest league. Because as we've seen, Sancho coming in, he's absolutely flopped at Man United. And obviously we've had our fair share of the Bundesliga tax, and they haven't done quite well. That's why I'm very hesitant to keep going to leagues where we buy players and then they fail. And hence why I'm, go to a Spanish league. We haven't done that before. Go to buy a Premier League proven player. We haven't done that in years. So yeah.
And I think he's a better player than Timo Werner, if you ask me. Timo Werner struggles one-on-one. He needs quite a lot of space to beat his marker. But I think Nkunku is skilled enough to, even when you're standing in front, to try to beat you. Let's tell me what you think about Matt's comparison of, because it's a comparison, Matt, I hope that doesn't come across as I'm saying, I'm not misquoting you, right? So, LG, what do you think about the comparison, Matt's comparison of Timo Werner and Nkunku?
Yeah, I think if I understand his point correctly, is in terms of his ability to reproduce the same results at the Premier League. That's what.
Okay, not really. The
Yeah,
skills. No. Okay.
yeah. But and in terms of skill set, I think Nkunku actually do more. Like you were saying, he can actually dribble past players, while Timo was more of a pace merchant. Yeah. Yeah, he's been doing the same thing, and I was right. I just checked. He was actually at from PSG Academy, so Tuchel let him go.
Oh,
So
Tuchel was the person that let him go.
yeah, I let him go. Yeah, so let's see if he wants him, because I think Man United are all over him. It's yet to be seen, because what happens in Bundesliga, except for a few players that have really hit the ground running at our club, so we'll see how it goes with this transfer, because we're still not there yet. We're still not, like this transfer. The ownership now, I think, supposed to, I mean, yesterday everything should have been clear, right? Or
Hmm.
latest today. So if we don't hear nothing tonight, we're looking at Monday, mate. We're looking at Monday, you know, and transfers moving. There's this player. Is it Diego Carlos from Sevilla? It's a defender. I think Aston Villa, they are about to sign the guy. And if they sign the guy, do you think Sevilla will want to lose two defenders in one season, one window? Do you understand what I'm saying?
Hmm.
It will be a problem. It will be in just like what happened with Hakimi going to PSG, and then we have to pay a whole lot of money for Lukaku. Because it was more like they are losing all their players. So we don't know. They might force us to pay the release clause. So let's just as far as this transfer is
Yeah.
concerned, it's fun to talk about. I understand that, but let's
Hmm.
just calm down. Let's just calm down and wait for the transfer of ownership to complete first before
Yeah, because we can't do anything until that
we
is
do
completed.
anything.
We can talk to
Yeah.
players, talk to clubs, but we cannot put pen to paper. It's as simple as that. Declan, have I asked you about your thoughts on us being linked to Nkunku?
You have not,
Okay, you go ahead. Tell me
and I'll
what
be
you think.
glad
Is
to.
there a player you want to see at the club?
Yes, I do, and I hate that Matt had to go, because Matt contradicted himself 10 times in that conversation, where he said, I haven't seen the guy, but Bundesliga tax, and he judged the whole league. I'm pretty sure we got good and bad players from every league, so it's not a good
Hmm.
measure to go off. What Nkunku brings, though, and I wish I saw more of him too, which I only seen limited amount of games, but I think he would be almost. Probably need small, but he's almost perfect on type of characteristics I was talking about. He
Hmm.
does sometimes go wide. He's fast. He plays on the shoulder, and even though what Matt said, they do in the Bundesliga get more space. He has done great in tight spaces. He's good with the ball at the feet, right? And he's clinical. I mean, to compare him to Werner, I mean, there's a big difference there. One scores, one doesn't. And I'm hoping so. We'll. It's a type of player we need. And Nkunku, still a bit young too. Still hasn't hit his peak, so he matches the age group that we have in the team as well. I think Nkunku would be a perfect guy to bring in to finally get a player that starts to fit the players we need.
How about the argument that Timo Werner did it in Germany too? The same club actually, Leipzig.
Yeah, so it's very different. So we never said Werner was really terrible. When Werner comes here, just in front of goal, he just missed. He's almost cursed. He hits the post. The goals he does score, he's off. He's a little inch offside. There's an element of Werner does all the right things, but the ball doesn't go in the back of the net. So it's a very different situation. And if we were going to judge that example on everyone, then we can say everyone is a risk, and everyone is. So when you say even everyone was praising Tchouameni, well, maybe you come in the Premier League and can't hack it. There's a different type of pressure playing for a club like Chelsea and the EPL, and that does take an effect. And also your lifestyle change and personal life does change. Your teammates change. So there is a risk of any player we bring in maybe not continuing the same form they had in the other league. And sometimes it takes players, a season to adjust. But a lot of the attackers we had have been here for 2 seasons. Only Lukaku hasn't.
Yeah. Again, I agree with you. So again, it doesn't have. It will. I mean, it will not be the same for every player. I think he looks more like he will fit into our system quite well. But what I'm thinking will be an issue, like Alexi did mention a few minutes ago, that Thomas Tuchel let him go. So we don't know if they have some animosity between them. Maybe let's see. He had to just let him go so that he can develop, because he wasn't getting much game time under him. That may well be the case, but let's see. We'll see what happens. I think I like him as a player. Yeah,
the question to ask, did Nkunku make PSG
first team?
The PSG, did he improve the PSG team? Like where Icardi didn't get in Tuchel's team, right?
Mm-hmm. He didn't play in that much.
Yeah, so I mean, it was a stacked, it's a stacked squad, and I mean, I don't think it was purely Tuchel's decision as well. But Tuchel was probably happy for him to leave. When you got that many players in front of you, I mean, it was probably hard to promise him a lot of game time.
Mm-hmm.
And that situation happens a lot. We've seen it a lot. Yeah, it happened at our club too. De Bruyne didn't make our midfield better at that time. Salah didn't as well. They all got their chances. And Mourinho even said that he wanted them to fight for their spot. But they didn't want to fight. They wanted game time, and they went somewhere else. So that's the difference. Either you integrate the youth into the team, and they start to see a lot of game time, or you let them go.
Yeah, I really do agree with you. Tobago, how are you doing, brother?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Fine. I can't complain. Can you just give me a minute to quickly catch up with the chat, if you don't mind?
No problem.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that, brother. You're a gentleman indeed. This is True Blue reiterating what he said 1,000 times, and I hopefully the fans are listening and our viewers are listening. Listen again. We cannot complete the signing of any player until new license is issued, until the sales price, the takeover process is complete, because there are restrictions in place that stops us from putting pen to paper with any club or player. But we can talk with them, we can negotiate, we can come to terms, we can have verbal agreements, but we cannot sign anything, which means technically the player cannot be Chelsea Football Club player until that is done. Again, please, let's learn that Broya for 70 mil. No, I think the club are not going to send me a few, but I get a True Blues argument, because he's a defined 9 himself, but he's more of a complete 9 than Lukaku. I think maybe he'll be fearing if he comes in, he may never get a chance to play. I feel Havertz also don't suit Tuchel's system. I'm not sure whether I wonder why the official announcement is taking so long. I don't know either. That's a good question, but we'll see what happens. Says Havertz and Lukaku both don't suit Tuchel's system. I don't know where that argument is coming from. What about signing a player called, I'm not sure the player you're talking about, Smith? Let me know, please. Belgium, let me see if there's anything to address here. Okay, this is just a conversation. Let me see, please. That's why I need a studio engineer here. We will make the whole thing easier, again, because I'm not sure what's a question and what's just when they're talking to themselves. I think let me just come back to the panel here and ask this question. Okay, Declan, you've spoken about Nkunku. I think we've all talked about Nkunku. And Tobago, you joined us for a reason. What's the point? You because you always come on when you want to come for a fight. Let us know. Bring it on.
No, I don't want to fight. I wanted to talk about Nkunku. Like we've been saying, Bundesliga text, whatever. Anyway, Nkunku is a good player. And also, I think the PSG did a good thing to release him for his development, as Declan said. So sometimes some players won't fit into your system until you recognize, you know what, I did a mistake there. And also at PSG, they always demand for results. So I think players like Nkunku, already coming from development, they wouldn't get enough game time to play for PSG. So I think it was the right thing for your PSG to let him go so that he can develop to be a better player. Now he's a better player. So I will only buy Nkunku if he'll be able to sell Pulisic or Timo Werner or another attacker, because like you can have a lot of attackers and then at the end of the day they'll be complaining about the game time and stuff. So also I will take Nkunku any day. He can score free kicks. He's clinical. He's good on counter. He gives assists. So I will take Nkunku any day.
But here's where we don't have to get Nkunku, given the type of player he is. That's again something we don't usually talk about, balance. He hardly hits the deck or falls. You have to foul him properly. He's not easily. He's physical too. You could argue he's strong enough, but I don't think if Nkunku is available, he's one of those players. I don't think we'd have to wait. For some players to leave before we get him in, because he's that good. Leslie, let me know what you think before I bring on Declan.
Yeah, if I think it would be good for us because they split three at the back when Nagelsmann was there. All right, and they produced quite a good number. This is why I'm really surprised with Timo Werner, because he played three at the back as well. It was basically 3-4-1-2. With either Posin and Werner up as a two, or Werner and is it Stick? So he's played that system before, and Nkunku was very pivotal to that team and that season as well.
So did he play? You're saying Nkunku played in his first team even before he left?
Who? With Timo?
Oh, I see.
No, I'm talking about Nkunku when he played three at the back at RB Leipzig.
Okay, but the question I asked, sorry for cutting you up, did he get to play for the first team at PSG at all?
I don't think he played.
Okay, go ahead.
Who wasn't playing three at the back at PSG? Not necessarily. That was not his main formation. I'm talking about Nkunku's experience at RB Leipzig. All right. When Julian Nagelsmann was there, he was playing three at the back. And Nkunku has experience as playing three at the back. That's my point. So if Tuchel wants him, it will probably be because of this experience of playing at that formation.
Yeah, you still okay. That's it for you, I think. So you think he will fit in well?
Yeah, absolutely. I think he will fit in perfectly.
Okay, let's talk about the next man in question. We've missed out on Tchouaméni. Boubacar Kamara preferred. Was it Aston Villa, right?
Yes.
He went to Aston Villa. Tchouaméni, I think he said that he goes to Madrid or Liverpool. We missed out Camavinga. We talked about the club signing him. Now, people talk so much about Declan Rice and Tchouaméni and Ndidi also. Ndidi is good. Don't get me wrong. Let me start with you. Tobago. Why haven't we heard anything that the club is, but until yesterday, that the club is now looking to sign Bissouma, because he's such a fine player. He's quick. He's a good tackler of the ball. He's good on the ball. He's got quick. He can dribble too. So he's got, all the qualities that Tchouaméni got. But I think it's more, how do I phrase it? I think you could argue. I think. Let me just say the difference is that the fact that he's played in the Premier League and he's done well against the big boys, even against us. He dealt with Kovacic quite well. You need to go see that replay to understand what I'm talking. Your thoughts on the possibility of us signing Bissouma? I think he's a player I'd like us to bring to the club because it's low key right now and he won't cost us that much money. But the problem with Chelsea is that we'll only talk about him and not do anything. But by the time you know it, he'll be playing for another club and we'll be saying, or maybe our scouts will say he's not ready until someone else signs him.
Yeah, to be honest, Bissouma, what a player. He's a good player and he have 1 year left on his contract. So I think we should take advantage of
1 year
that.
left on his contract.
Yes.
Which means he really want to leave. Go ahead.
Yes, so I will take Bissouma any time, any day without panicking because like as you said, I remember that the game we played against Brighton. Wow. He stole the show, one-man show. He was doing everything, attacking, defending, breaking play and stuff. It's like another level of N'Golo Kante. So due to we can't get likes of Kamara, Chouameni, and Rice and stuff. And in our budget also, remember we have a 200 million budget or less than that. But all in all, to save a lot of expense, Bissouma already a proven Premier League player, so we should take him. Why not? And then we can remember we're on a rebuild, and then for next season we can go for players like Declan Rice, if it's possible. So man, I hope Chelsea scouts are watching this because like
the question I want to ask you, if we can get Bissouma, why do we need Declan Rice? To me, he's a more complete player than Rice. Rice isn't that good in terms of dribbling. He needs space to do as well as he does. But
remember, Bissouma is like more of like N'Golo Kante now.
Box to box.
He can do box to box, right? And then the issue I have now, we need a DM that will sit and protect our center backs. In order not our center back to be exposed, because like in a lot of games, most of our midfielder are out of play, or our center backs are out of play. They're being exposed. Always. So we need a DM that will sit, but Bissouma can come for next season in order for the transaction to go well, and then we can get another target. Why not?
Yeah, I get your point, but I think Bissouma, he's good enough given how quick he is and his ability to recover balls and his ability also to escape pressure. This guy, talk about players being able to to dribble their way out of tight spaces. He does that quite well and quite calmly. Doesn't panic on the ball at all. I think you could argue he's a mashup of Jorginho and N'Golo Kante. N'Golo Kante in terms of his ability to win back balls, and then Jorginho in terms of the way he can actually control games. And again, the whole thing comes down to how the manager's game plan. I think Bissouma, if you instruct him to be more disciplined in a game and go forward whenever he can, I think he can screen the defense very well. Let me start with you, LSC. Your thoughts on Bissouma, the talks that were linked with him. For me, I'd say he's a player I'd like to see at the club. Tell me, how about you?
Yeah, I would like to see him. He's a good player. I actually prefer him to Rice. But my main choice, like I said before, is is Paredes from PSG.
Here's one thing. Can I say this, LSC? Paredes, we wanted him before he went to PSG, right? You're talking about the Argentine international.
Yes.
Yeah, one thing he doesn't do well, I think he's not the quickest.
Yeah,
but one thing he's really good at is he's got some long-range passes in him, even closer. Yeah, he's good, and he can be physical. But go ahead.
Physical, it's almost, I see him sometimes play like Fabregas, I know Verratti is ahead of him, PSG.
Yeah, and remember too, Thomas Tuchel didn't play him that much, right?
I understand that, but I think he has issues. I would have gone for Idris Gueye as well, but we'll be having a lot of fouls. He creates too
Oh,
much
you mean
fouls.
Idris Agoye? Okay.
Yeah. Would have gone for him as well. There are other alternatives that we can go for, but this Bissouma guy, because of his Premier League experience, I wouldn't mind. We have Brozovic as well. I won't mind going for him. The option is there for this position, all right? You say, and if we really want to, talking about A-list in what position? This is my point. A-list in what position? All right? If you're really looking for A-list, why not go for Kimmich? There are a lot of players out there in this position that can really do well for us. So by the time we start going for Bissouma now, I guarantee you, right? The transfer fee is going to either multiply, or double. All right. So we have to be fast. Whoever is running this particular ownership transfer now needs to be fast because the clock is ticking. And a lot of teams, they are all out there. At the moment Chelsea are linked with a particular player, they go for that player.
Yeah,
that's
we
what
do it. We do it too because some scouts, they've done the work for you and they get you to start looking at the player, and then you find out, wow, oh, this guy is good.
I don't think that is the best way to go moving forward. Why do you have to go for, if you say that you want a player or you don't want a player? If the player is among your short list, then make it count. If it's at the top of your short list, then strike when it's hot. We know we can't talk to, we can only talk to them now. Then make the talk count. Let that talk be meaningful, since that's the only thing you can do at the moment. All right. So it's like, hey, hello, yeah, are you available? That's like, that's our contact. There's nothing meaningful. There's nothing, concrete about the talks at this point in time. So that's why these players, I get a bit anxious when we are linked with them, and I know they are very good, and they get swept away, consumed away, like the way we used to do to other teams. So, yeah, I won't mind having him.
Yeah, I think we should absolutely look at him because if you're in the chat, if you don't know Bissouma very well, I don't think again, there are ways to find full games. Watching the full.
Yeah, and there is
Go
no
ahead.
chance. There is no chance of Tuchel allowing Kovacic or Kante to leave. So the casualty here will be Jorginho, because one has to go.
Yeah, and it's a good thing that the guy the Bissouma is a mashup of Jorginho and N'Golo Kante. That makes sense. He can fulfill the Jorginho role very well.
Very well. And but my question is this: have we seen any links for Jorginho recently? Has there been any?
No, I haven't. But the talks are Juventus. That Juventus want him, and I hope that's the case.
All right, I hope that's the case as well, because we don't want people getting stuck around. We need to clear out our wage bill. We need to make the team light, the squad, the number of players he wants. And this talk of players having issues with not playing, if you know you are going to moan and cry because you are not playing, because you missed 2 games, the same, we have a fan base that says, what Tuchel need is a consistent starting 11, right? They want a starting 11. Is that not a problem? A situation where we don't have a full starting 11, we still have players complaining because they are just playing few games here and there. Some are complaining because they are not starters. Now you want full starting 11. It's a problem. Okay, so let's give Tuchel the required personnel he needs in every single position. And then let's see how it works.
Yeah. Yeah, I do agree with you. Let me quickly, Declan, just give me a minute. Let me quickly catch up with the chat and I'll come back to you. And I want to say thank you for 114 likes. And also I want to say thank you for 1,924 subscribers, which is a few away. And again, it sounds like a lot, but we can get there. I know all the people that are watching right now are not subscribed and haven't liked the video. So please, if you can, I'd appreciate that. Show that you're happy that the ownership conundrum issue will come to an end soon. And also, just like the video to show that you're happy. Support the channel and subscribe if you haven't. Here, who are we signing? We're not starting yet, but you could say we will sign Kunde when the time comes. But we cannot sign anybody. We cannot complete the process of signing any player at this point until we get the new license and the sale process is completed. Oh, I thought went on the panel to talk about Lukaku. Alex, he's talking about you, Tobago, just Viola. What about Neymar? Neymar, no, even though we intentionally talked about it here, we did some calculations, even though we'll make quite a lot of sales in merchandise if we sign him. But there are other issues. His salary will shatter wage structure, and that will create a whole lot of problems in the dressing room. I don't think the club will do that. Says Kimoso, I'm jealous of Liverpool scout, and I am too. They made some shrewd signings without spending quite a lot of money. Prime example, Diaz himself. He's been a brilliant signing for them. Diaz is his name, right? The new recruit. Is Diego Costa still a free agent? I mean, enough of this. That's a funny one. Again, if we can get Diego Costa back, believe me, he still do a good enough job. But then again, you know how players are judged these days. As long as we haven't heard him play anywhere in Europe, the conclusions will be that it's not that good anymore. But Drogba did it for us. He came back again and scored some beautiful goals for us. Okay, the Costa is finished. Caputo doesn't play strikers again. That's the most important one, I think. I wouldn't say he's finished until he resigns because he still knows where the goal is. Again, all Rice does is run into one space yes, exactly. That's what I say. That's what the difference between Rice and Bissouma is, that Rice needs a space to operate, but Bissouma doesn't need, no matter how you press him, he will find a way, dribble himself out of tight spaces and still do something nice with the ball. But let's see what happens. I see some content creators saying Thomas Tuchel adores Rice. Where that comes from, I don't know. Is Rice a good player? He's a good player and he's all right. But the issue, what we struggle the most here, that was how Brighton, that was how Brentford dealt with us. That was how Manchester City won both legs in the league, home and away. They pressed us aggressively, knowing that we don't have too many players who are able to progress the ball when you pressure us. So that's why I don't think Rice will help us. Will not help us that much in that case. I think Bissouma will be a better option for us. That's me. Again, I think Rice, if you ask me, I think he'd be better off going to Manchester United, where they don't have a defined DM, and he be the leading DM there. Maybe paired sometime with Fred. Again, Bissouma, one of the most underrated players in the EPL. Chelsea should get this guy, engine him, goal, and again, imagine him, Kante, Kovacic, and Gallagher. Yep, then we'll have a very, very strong midfield there. Says Bissouma is way better than Declan Rice. Let's wait until Rice runs out of his contract and then sign him. Yeah, exactly. If he really wants to come to Chelsea. The fact is, again, Bissouma is probably, Rice is talked about the more because Bissouma plays for a team haven't done well as well as West Ham have done. That's probably the reason why most people are not talking about him as much as they're talking about Declan Rice. Bissouma, there are so many reports that Thomas Tuchel likes this player, that player, etc., etc. It is hilarious. That's why exactly when somebody says that, I'd ask them, when did you speak with him? Tell me again, or give me his phone number. I'd like to talk with him. Just because Bissouma can play box to box doesn't make him a bad DM when he plays as one. Exactly, that's the question. It all depends on how the manager wants to, approach the game. Instructions to players who are capable of, implementing, game plans does it. I think he'd be able to execute that role very well. Julius, not while there is a court case looming over who? Over who? Can you let me know who you're talking about, Bissouma or who? Kante and Bissouma will protect our defense. line perfectly. Plus, Bissouma is capable of doing even more. So that's a good argument. While all these popular and expensive players, look at Liverpool. Exactly, that has always been an issue for Chelsea. I think, especially, it was still Roman is technically the owner, though, especially under Roman's ownership. I don't think if it's his fault. I think Chelsea usually like to go for big brand names. They also consider business while they're signing players. Pulisic, Havertz does some, but Havertz also has done well. Pulisic isn't a bad player, but in most cases they buy them when you can argue they're not suitable for what the manager wants to do, and then the manager have to now find a way to solve that problem. With 1 year remaining in his contract, Bissouma is cheap. Yep, look at the price tag here, $38 million. So it's in pounds, it will be even less. I think he's 25, so he's in a good age too. So I don't know. Hopefully, we're truly looking at him. That's one transfer I'd like to see happen. Tchouaméni signed in January 2020. The season ended after 4 months last season. Was his first full season at Monaco. Didn't want to sell. Cesc Fabregas pushed him to Liverpool or Real Madrid. No doubt. I see. Think moves so that exactly the player maybe looking at places they think will be best for him. Kimmich isn't leaving Bayernliga to fight for top 4 with us again. That's your argument. Quite a lot of things to catch up with there. I think I'll come back to it in a bit. So Declan, coming to you, your thoughts on Bissouma. And I want you to compare him with Rice and other players we've looked at.
Bissouma would be a great signing for all the reasons that have been brought up as well. I think he's more the value pick. I mean, when you compare it with Rice, I still think Rice is the better player.
How is Rice a better player than Bissouma?
In his composure, in the way he distributes the ball, Rice is a bit better defender. Rice is probably not as the box to box like Bissouma is, but Rice controls the build up play and most of the progression. And sometimes Rice does get into attacking phases sometimes, but which we don't really need a box to box, 6 as well. That's not our main problem. I mean, if Bissouma was an attacking force, then yeah, I'd want him up there. But then one of the other players might be there. But I would like to see a combination of the two. So in an idealistic world, you would have someone with some of the skills of Bissouma and with probably a bit more of an attacking threat, and someone like Rice. Do you know what I mean? Idealistically, that would be like your 2 6s that you'd like. But I still think Bissouma is probably the best value for money. If Bissouma's transfer fee is under 50 mil, then yeah, that's great. But if it starts to go into the regions 60, 70, well, now you're getting close to Rice's probably transfer fee in the 80s. And so that's when I'd prefer Rice over Bissouma.
Really? Tabaga, do you agree with that argument?
He said he will prefer Rice over Bissouma.
No, he said. I know. Declan likes some fight. He says Rice is better than Bissouma. Was that? Did I misquote you, Declan?
No.
Thank you. You go ahead, Tabaga. Let me know.
To be honest, I don't think Rice is better than Bissouma. Can Rice control the game? That's
only when he has space, if you ask me. And again, let me say this quickly before you continue. Declan, let me ask you this quickly, and then I'll come back to Tabaga, then I'll go to Ellis to finalize that topic for us. Now, you know Rice, he's not the best of dribblers.
Yeah.
Right? And he's not the best in terms of progressing the game when you pressure him. If there's no space, that's it, he's done. He does basically what the players we have now, what they do, go backwards, go sideways or so. He needs space to be able to orchestrate those passes you're talking about. So
I
I'm
think
not
you're
sure
right
how
about
you
that.
think he's better than Bissouma.
He has shown he does well when under pressure. I think this is very wrong. A lot of people, and maybe I'm one of the not the rarer people, but I'm on the side of where I appreciate possession. There is a skill of sideways passing, even though people don't like to see it. It's not easy on the
No,
eye.
it's actually
But
it's a
the
way to
moving,
control the game. I get that. Go ahead.
yeah, the constant moving of the ball, I appreciate that side. It
Mm-hmm.
interests me. I'm actually a fan of it, right? Rather than kicking a long ball. It's easy to kick a long ball, right? And it's a gamble. End of the day, not every long ball. I never seen any team hit long balls and always perfect. So there is actual art and it's a very good skill to constantly move that ball sideways, which people don't like, right? But that sideways not only makes it harder for the other team to get, and they have to exert more energy to get the ball off you, right? But it also starts to shift their players a lot more around the park, and they start to lose their shape when you do that. Now, where Rice and Bissouma are quite different, Rice is better defensively. Rice controls the ball. Don't forget, Rice is the captain and the leader of that team, right? Rice is calm and composed. I don't know where you got this thing where he buckles under pressure, right? And
No,
Rice
but
contributes
get
in
my
set
point.
pieces and stuff like that.
Come and compose. Here's the please. If you feel like I'm cutting you off too much, please let me know.
Yeah.
Here's what I want to say, bro. No, calm and compose is different. You can be calm and composed when you have all the spaces you need. You see how
Calm and
usually
composed under pressure.
yeah.
is what
You see how usually
Because
when
you said he
Jorginho is
needs
pressured
space,
that
yeah?
much, he loses the ball. How often do you think Rice needs space to be at his best? That's my argument. But go ahead, say what you're saying, so I can bring in Tobago in.
Jorginho needs space too, yeah, to be at his best, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And so that rule goes to any player. Any player that is good in distribution, right? If they're given space, they are deadly, right? Under pressure is how you judge them.
Yeah,
Jorginho is one of the best under pressure.
They're deadly. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so Jorginho is one of the best under pressure. Rice is pretty good too, right? Rice gets pressured on too because he is one of the main players in the build-up play for West Ham, right? And he distributes the ball as well. So he's one of the key anchors in that midfield for them, right? For West Ham. Bissouma is different. Bissouma isn't that player. Bissouma is the runner. Bissouma moves the ball. He drive the ball up. He's got different. He's covering a lot of ground. He's a different type of player. Like I said, you'd have one or two, but in what we need, we already have those runners. It's almost like saying we got Kante and Kova that does that, and Rice could do what Jorginho does, or play that same role in the same mixture. Now, do you want two Bissoumas that run, from box to box all the time? Or do you because the most important? Yeah, I'll just make this point. The most important part in that Sixers role is for Tuchel and for the list of the way he wants to play, and which is probably the highest one possession, is building up from the back. Once you build up from the back and the teams cannot get the ball, we get a free ride to that team's half. That's the building blocks. So the priority on that person needs to be able to be great on the ball, right? And he's going to always get pressure, and he can deal with it, and also calm, compose, and all that, right? That's where I believe Rice is better than Bissouma. And they have different characteristics, but for what we need and what is priority for that position, Rice is better in that role. But I did say Rice is at a premium price, yeah. Bissouma, for the qualities we're getting, I'm hoping he would be at a much lower price, and that's why he's probably the best value for money, and which we've probably got to be we got to be really smart this transfer window when we're trying to accumulate a whole bunch of new players. That we're going to
With
make
just
smart
200 million.
bikes.
Mhm.
That's
Yeah.
200. You know, that report was 200 million with sales, which is quite sad, to be honest.
We've argued that here. And not just 200 million, then we'll sell and then we'll make more money. We argue that here, so that's actually scary. And that's I know LSD talked quite a bit about it because he said LSD made the point. He said, "You see what I'm saying? It's not the talk, it's the action is what matters." Now he's the owner. What is he trying to do? Okay, Dick, before I come to you now, but Declan, great point. That's why I always like to have you on the panel. We make some sensible arguments. And again, you've highlighted what is the difference between the two players. But I think Bissouma, even though he's a box-to-box midfielder, he should be able to execute the disciplined DM role, if you want to phrase it that way. It all depends on the instruction he gets from the manager. But quickly, let me catch up with Chad and bring back Tobago before I go to LSC to round off that topic for us. Rice is more composed, and again, that's to you. He's responding to you, but I know your argument. Amper, the CDM will be better. He did good in Venezia. He will come back. He'll probably be part of the preseason. So whatever happens now, I think the next move, if he doesn't stay, the club will probably sell him and put a buyback clause in it. I think that's a talent that I think got confused even more because when he goes on loan, they play him in different positions, except the place he could argue he hasn't played. It's just between the sticks. But that's, by the way, the sideways passing makes a team very static and less attacking, but sometimes it is necessary. If you don't see spaces and the opponents are following you as you pass around the ball, you just go sideways to control the game. You may need it also to kill off time, but sometimes it's unnecessary. So you're correct. Give me Sangare, Nkunku, Kunde, Cucurella. And again, before I continue reading the chat, we have 123 likes. Thank you very much for that. That is not easy at all. And also, we have 1,925 subscribers. We have about 75 subscribers to hit 2K subscribers, and we can get there today. So if you haven't, do like the video and also subscribe to the channel. It says Chelsea will get you Declan Rice. That may well be what will happen, but we'll see. Thoughts on Calvin Phillips? It's not a good option, but I don't think it's not my ideal for that position. He's aggressive too, but that's good. But other areas, I don't want to go into that. He lacks it. I don't really want. It says Declan have some shame, please. Declan, I'm reading it because I know it doesn't annoy you. You understand. So, yeah, that's fine. The sad thing is all of this is a smoke screen. We end up getting Bissouma, watch a Chelsea extend Jorginho. We will end up like a Man U next season. Again, I fear that. I hope that doesn't happen. More Football says Rice is too expensive. We've all talked that. Very, very expensive. And More Football, I think this is the first time I'm seeing you here. And please, if you haven't, please do subscribe to the channel. Okay. Just some comments here. So let me let you finish. Go ahead. Bayern Close, I agree with Sadio Mane. Wow. I haven't heard that before. So Tobago, go ahead.
I'm here. Do you hear me, guys?
Yeah. Let me go ahead. Declan, no worries, bro. I think this is the last topic we're covering, so you're fine, brother.
Yes. Anyway,
take it easy, everyone.
You too, bro.
I would love to respect Declan and then one arguing thing between Rice and Bissouma.
Declan wants you to argue. Declan thrives with the argument. Is what makes us learn.
No respect, man.
Big respect, big up. See ya, bro.
All right, brother. Go ahead, Tobago. So you don't want to say anything else?
No. I want to respect Declan for today only.
Okay, no problem. I wanted to see the fight, but Declan. Yeah.
But anyway, coach, I love both players. I think they're good players, and then I think Bissouma can offer more than Rice is doing at West Ham. To be honest, from my side, because Bissouma is quick.
Yeah, him too. Yeah.
Yes, he can break a play, and I haven't seen Rice doing a lot of that recently. So I wouldn't say I would prefer Rice between Bissouma and Rice. So that's the thing. Like uh, Bissouma is a utility player, can do everything in the midfielder, can sit, can attack, can pass, and everything. Rice is kind of limited, but anyway, he's young. He can improve on that.
Yeah, again, I think I agree with you. The way you put it that I like the most is he can offer more than Rice can. Now let's bring in LSC. LSC, your thoughts, because we weren't going to compare the two players, but I think the reason we had a reason to do so. We have a reason to do so. If you prefer comparing the two players, which of them do you really prefer, given what they can offer?
Um, if we decide to go with Rice, I think from watching him play over the years,
Mm-hmm.
I think in terms of ball interception or blocking the ball, I think is very strong. He has a high concentration level, and
Mm-hmm.
he's also good at passing the ball. Yeah, that would be some attributes that we, from my experience and my opinion of him.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's a bit rigid. It's not as fluid when it's
Yeah.
compared to a player like Bosuma. Bosuma is very good. I think one of the best thing with him is tackling. He likes to tackle the ball, and he wins most of the tackle, but he also causes some fouls as well. And a lot of people think it's not discipline because of that. But one major advantage that he has over Declan Rice, apart from tackling, would be his ability to dribble. He likes to dribble, and he likes to shoot from distance as well. So yeah, overall, if everything's remain the same as it is right now, I will go for him. Not just because of the price. Even though the price is absolutely night and day when compared to Declan Rice. So it's an easy option if I'm presented with just both of them. It's an easy option to go for Basuma.
Mm-hmm. And for 38 million, I think that was the price I saw here. It would be an absolute
That,
steal,
that,
given,
that
yeah,
was that was approximately 32 million pounds.
yeah. So that's not a bad deal. It's more like it would be at the same steal as us how we scooped up N'Golo Kante, and look what he's done for us now.
Exactly. Same way with Scoop Eden Hazard, even though it's a different position, but
Mm-hmm.
same way. So that would be the price range we should be looking at if we're looking at players that are unknown, or if we're not looking for big names. And if we're looking for big names, maybe they should come on free. And I
Mm-hmm.
understand there will be some sign-on bonus and all of that, sign-on fee. Um, yeah, they like you made allusion to earlier on, talking about the transfer budgets.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean,
Yeah, yeah. Listen, can
actually,
I say this, brother, before you continue? When you were saying that yesterday, I was laughing so hard inside my mind. You know why? Because I knew you were going to talk about it. That has always been your concern. but but go ahead. I was laughing. Literally, I had to hold myself and say, "Don't let it go," because it might come across as insulting. But really, I was laughing because I knew you were going to say it, and I knew you were right when you were talking about it. Talk is shit. Now we've gotten there. Now he was
absolutely.
talking about sensible spending. That's a perfect example. Go ahead.
Exactly. You cannot just bring in, use the term more, data systems and all that. There is no works of law right now where data is not being used. So using data, as an umbrella term, to misdirect people to the idea that you're not going to be making a lot of spending. I mean, it's not acceptable. We talk about this. That's why, I'm happy, even though the process has no reason to take this long, if not for bureaucracy. That's just it, because there are some institutions you are dealing with here in the UK, they will need like 3 days, 3 working days to respond. Do you understand? So you cannot really complain until that 3 days is passed. There are some, it requires like 7 working days before you respond. You know what I mean? So there's no like automatic system. So I understand that part, So the delay, allowed room for the inclusion of the anti-glazer clause, which shows that they will not be able to, gain anything out of this club, to enrich themselves, which if that was their original plan. I think someone like Bowley saw an opportunity because he really wants it. That was why he committed to that, idea, and sign up to it, So if we are not having a review, that means we're going to be like, a club spending like 50 million a season or 60 million a season. All right. We are talking about a rebuild here where we need up to about 7 players. And you're talking about these mega figures. And you also require us to sell. You are not even putting the urgency into consideration. So I'm not going to start saying all these things about Bowley because I'm not sure of whatever story it is. Because we should learn by now. We saw so many stories that came, how Abramovich wanted his loan back, how he wanted his back. You know what I mean? They have to bring out a statement because that was a very strong allegation that was designed and engineered for us to lose our affection for the man, for everything he's done. He's the greatest loser here. He's living with nothing, not even an appreciation. On the final day, I was expecting some kind of appreciation, and all of that, nothing. But the new person coming in now is already trying to, create some flame right now among the fan base with this approach. All right, talking about why don't you just bring the money? Where is the 1.75 billion that is supposed to be made for for this stadium and transfer? First of all, that figure is not even enough. If you say 750 million over 10 years, how much are you going to be spending every year?
Yeah.
And that includes the women's team as well.
Yeah, I do agree with you. I think we'll see what happens. But go ahead. You were saying something.
It's crazy. It's crazy, because if you look at, talking about the women's team, if you look at the women's team, you have a lot of players that are down right now. Right? For example, you have Melanie Lupus. She's one of the best players that we have, at the club that we have. Okay, if she was available, maybe we would have progressed to the Champions League for the women. All right, but she's pregnant. All right, so she's going to be out for a while. Okay, we have other 3 leaving, and if you even look at the situation, you look at the amount of money the women's team is being, paid weekly. It's a joke. It's a joke. So they need to improve. Are they going to be relying on that same 750 million? What about the youth team? What about the foundation? There's a lot. There's a lot we have to talk about here. So this love for Bowley and all of that, I know he has some kind of likable personality. I'm not going to dish him on that, but it's going to take me a long time. He has to impress, and he's failed woefully so far now. Look at Tottenham that started rebuild last season. They are being handed 150 million, right? 150 million. If you give Antonio Conte 150 million, he's going to do some business. He's going to do some damage next season. As long as they keep Kane and Son, he's going to do some damages. You say, I won't be surprised if he gets Perisic, because they are after Perisic as well. So I'm going to be cautiously optimistic about our situation. I'm not going to get carried away because he's blowing whistle and all of that. I'm not going to get carried away with any of that because he hasn't impressed me so far.
Yeah, thank you very much for that detailed input. I think I'm concerned too that we have to sell before that 200 million comes. But that's, by the way, let's talk about this guy in roundup for the day. Because he's in the least. Tobago, I know you don't want us to sign him. Correct me if I'm wrong, if I'm misquoting you. Should we even be looking for another number 9? We have Broya. I think they're both the same age. Or Broya is younger, but from what I've seen, I think Broya could actually, if he plays as much games as he's played, I think Broya, is capable of scoring more goals. So, your thoughts on also that being linked with Darwin Nunes?
To be honest, on Darwin Nunes, I would buy Darwin Nunes if we will be able to sell Lukaku. That's it. But having Darwin Nunes and Lukaku in the same team that's an issue for me because of the wage structure. What would his agent demand for him? So, but anyway, Darwin Nunes is a good player. Also, is young. As we were saying in the stream lately, it's good to buy a young player, and if it doesn't work out, we'll be able to sell him, and that is a win-win situation for us. So, Darwin Nunes for me, I will take him only if we'll be able to sell Lukaku, and then if we'll be able to sell both, maybe two of our attackers and buy him, I will take him. As I said on the chat, I said, how about if you continue the same system? How about 3-5-2, and then Darwin Nunes will be that player who likes to come deep to look for the ball, and Lukaku is just waiting for him to supply me and stuff. But we'll never know. But anyway, about our new owners, and then I was listening to LSG. You know what? To be honest, as curious as I am, I will wait and see about their players, because like now I won't judge them until they are making transfers and everything. But under Roman Abramovich, that guy was good. He was spending money for the coaches and stuff. But anyway, sometimes you spend money unnecessary. That's the issue I was having. So I won't blame him. I won't blame Roman, because he hired directors and people there. So anyway, Darwin Nunes for me, wow, I will take him, man.
What do you think, other than putting away chances? What do you think about his other qualities, like taking on players, like beating players one-on-one? Because if you do a research in terms of his highlights, all you see 90% of the time almost is him putting the ball in the back of the net. So how about his ball control, close control, just like Nkunku has good close control, even Johnathan David has good close control. Does he have all those attributes? So why do you really want us to sign him?
As I said, he's young, he can improve, and then maybe he can be taught those attributes going forward. So I will take him because of his movement. He's good on making a lot of moves, and he's clinical also.
Yeah, Alexi, let me bring it to you so we can round up for the day. Your thoughts on the club being linked to Darwin Nunes. Is there something you'd like us to do, or do you have reservations on that?
The reason why I'm a bit, I'm not going to be too skeptical about him because of his nationality. I know he knows where he's coming from, and I think he's plays for Uruguay, right?
Yeah, that's his nationality. Yeah,
nationality. So he knows where he's coming from, and players like that, I see Aguero in him. I see Suarez. I see that, I see that, doggedness, and ability, and the fact that he can play. It's more like, I know it's just like a one season breakout.
I think we lost LSC.
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Okay, yeah. At the time you lost you. Go ahead.
Can you hear me now? Yeah.
Yeah, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay. I think he had last season was more of his breakout season. He has some decent numbers in the past. Yeah, that would be my only concern, because it's just 1 year breakout season and the hype and all of that, But he can actually play in a front three, and he can also play on his own. He's right-footed, and he has like clever movements and positioning. You understand, the way I think he can have like a good interplay with players like Pulisic if he remains at the club, and can even play with Mount and Havertz. So it won't be a bad shout. It won't be a bad shout, but I don't want to be emotionally attached to any of these players at this point. I just look at them. Okay, fine, fair enough. You know, let's see if we are going for youth, because some people will be having concern about Broja. But as far as I, in my opinion, I won't put it past this club to sell Broja and even Gallagher, because they will be the main prospect that can give us enough money for transfers.
Yeah, I don't. Those are the two players actually I wouldn't want us to sell. But again, that's me. But I appreciate everybody on the panel. Ellis, did you have anything else to say?
I'm good. So if people want to check me out, I told you my other Twitter was.
Yes, I think I'd have to share it next time on the show. Again, do you have it on the screen?
It's LG Sports. I think I'll have to change the
avatar.
The avatar that I'm using on the Twitter, so I use that one here. Next. Yeah.
Okay. So with that, we've come to the end of the show. Please go follow Tobago. Also follow LSC Sports. You'll find them on Twitter. And if you haven't, please make sure to like the video and also subscribe to the channel. And with that, I want to say thank you to everybody on the panel, LSC, Tobago, Declan, who was here, Matt, also who was here, and to everybody in the chat, Nick Blue, thank you very much, True Blue. Also, thank you for all, you've done monitoring the chat, dealing with the spams and all that. And also, Steve Chelsea, thank you for joining. Liam, can I find one of his comments? And everybody else who was in the chat, I'm going to say thank you very much for participating. You guys made it a brilliant show. We would not have been so good if it wasn't for your inputs in the chat. And with that, we've come to the end of today's Blue Morning Show. See you guys tomorrow for another Blue Morning Show. And cheers.